Chapter 29:35. As expected, Sima Xiaoxiao chose the fire attribute spiritual item and the royal grade Xianbao. However, she did not choose the third item. Instead, she looked at Su Fong and said, "I'll only choose these two treasures so that people won't say that the cultivators of the southern profound divine domain are greedy and insatiable." Su Fong snorted coldly in his heart. This woman is quite scheming. The two best treasures that are suitable for her were chosen by her. She doesn't even care about the other treasures, so she's being generous for once. It was Su Fong's turn to choose. He released 3 strands of consciousness into the floating treasures and returned with 3 treasures. Other than the wooden Xianbao, there's also a green bead and a spiritual item that looked like a water droplet. The value of the wooden Xianbao was definitely not inferior to any of the 2 treasures that Sima Xiaoxiao chose. The green bead was also extraordinary. It was called the boundary bead. The boundary lords who controlled the profound world usually used it to stabilize and strengthen the profound world's defenses. It could also be used in low-level universes. Su Fong chose the boundary bead because of his square heaven universe. With the boundary bead, his square heaven universe's defenses would be as strong as a profound world and surpass the majority of profound worlds. The other spiritual item puzzled Tua Qianji and the other geniuses. The spiritual item that looked like a water droplet was called the heavenly rain. The heavenly rain was born in the depths of the primal chaos and was extremely rare. However, it was not very useful. The heavenly rain was usually used to cultivate extremely precious herbs and spiritual trees. It was not very useful to ordinary cultivators and was equivalent to chicken ribs. Therefore, it was not very valuable. Tua Qianji let Su Fong choose first because he felt somewhat guilty towards Su Fong. When he saw Su Fong choose the heavenly rain, he thought that Su Fong did not know the value of the item. He frowned and advised, "Su Fong, the heavenly rain is not very useful to you. There are so many treasures for you to choose from. You should choose another one." Su Fong said with certainty, "Thank you for your reminder, Your Excellency. I choose the heavenly rainwater." Tua Qianji asked in astonishment, "Is there any other use for you to choose Tianlin water? I happen to have some experience in cultivating medicinal herbs and spirit trees. Why don't you tell me? Maybe I can help you." Su Fong cupped his fists and said, "Thank you, Your Excellency. Actually, the reason why I chose the heavenly rainwater is not to nurture any medicinal herbs or spiritual trees, but to nurture a pregnant heavenly Tao core." Pregnant heavenly Tao core? According to what I know, you have already cultivated the heavenly Tao avatar and possess an internal universe. Why do you still want to nurture the heavenly Tao core? It's really not worth wasting energy on this. Tua Qianji obviously wanted to get closer to Su Fong, so he purposely reminded Su Fong. Su Fong said truthfully, "It's not that I'm cultivating, but my Tao companion. She needs the help of the pregnant heavenly Tao core to be resurrected." Tua Qianji looked at Su Fong and praised, "You're willing to give up precious treasures for your Tao companion. There are really too few cultivators who are as loyal and affectionate as you. Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. After this matter is over, you can come and find me. I'll personally nurture the pregnant heavenly Tao core for you. With my help, I guarantee that the pregnant heavenly Tao core nurtured by me will be 10 times better than the one you nurtured by yourself." Su Fongdao was overjoyed and quickly thanked Tua Qianji. The way everyone looked at Su Fong suddenly changed. Cultivators mainly focused their energy on cultivation, so their familial relationships were naturally indifferent. Not to mention Tao companions, even their biological parents were not too important. Su Fong actually spent his energy to nurture the pregnant heavenly Tao core for his Tao companion, and even gave up the treasures in his hands. This made many geniuses admire him. Of course, there were also people who scoffed at this. In the eyes of many cultivators, cultivators should give up everything and be obsessed with the cultivation of the Tao. It was really not worth it to give up the fortune in his hands for a woman and waste his energy. Sima Xiaoxiao glanced at Su Fong. Her eyes were no longer as cold as before, but she still let out a cold snort. "Lecher, You obviously have a Tao companion, but you still want to fool around outside. Su Fong was furious, but he could not find any words to refute her. He just let out a snort, too lazy to bicker with a woman. Next, the geniuses went up to pick their treasures according to their ranking. Those who were ranked at the front naturally picked the most powerful treasures that were suitable for them. Those who were ranked at the bottom could only pick from the rest, so it was naturally difficult for them to pick the treasures they liked. Su Fong carefully checked the 3 treasures and was very happy. The wood-like Xian Bao was called Fu Yao, Grotto Heaven. Not only was it a flying Xian Bao, but after it was activated, the Xian Peng statue could unleash powerful attacks. The palace on the back of the Xian Peng was a cave abode. Cultivating inside for 2 months was only 1 day outside. It was the supreme treasure that Su Fong lacked. His Xianling Grotto Heaven was borrowed from the Taoist sect. The Taoist sect master did not plan to return it to the Xianling Grotto Heaven, and Su Fong did not plan to return it either. It was good to leave it for his family and friends to cultivate. The boundary delimitation pearl was also the treasure that Su Fong wanted. With this treasure, the mysterious world of Fantian would be as stable as a rock. What made Su Fong most excited was the heavenly rainwater. For so many years, Su Fong had been collecting the spiritual items needed to nurture the pregnant heavenly Tao core. With the heavenly rainwater in hand, it meant that all the spiritual items needed to nurture the pregnant heavenly Tao core were now gathered. Tuo Qinji also promised to do it personally. It won't be long before Goddess can be resurrected. Goddess Luo's beautiful figure appeared in Su Fong's mind, and he felt a surge of excitement. This was one of his main goals in coming to the Eastern Xian Divine Realm. How could he not be happy when he saw that he was about to achieve his goal? When all the geniuses had finished selecting their treasures, Tuo Qinji then announced, Su Fong and Sima Xiaoxiao are tied for first place in Dongxian. Therefore, they are directly listed in the Tianxian ranking and will receive the highest level of protection from Jiuxuan's heavenly laws. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Gazes filled with envy and jealousy fell on Su Fong and Sima Xiaoxiao. Sima Xiaoxiao was fine, but Su Fong was especially so. He was born in a low-level universe and did not have any support behind him. Now that he was listed in the Tianxian ranking, it meant that he would be protected by the Jiuxuan's heavenly laws in the Jiuxuan divine realm from now on. He would no longer have to fear the suppression of any forces or experts. Tuo Qinji continued. The Tianxian Pavilion has promised that all geniuses within the top 1,000 can enter the pavilion to cultivate. Everyone can consider it. His words made the eyes of most of the cultivators extremely hardy. Su Fong was not very interested. He was now the direct disciple of Xian's Daozu, so naturally, he would not enter the Tianxian Pavilion to cultivate. All right, all the rewards that should be given have been given to you. In another 10,000 years, you will head to the Central Xian Divine Realm to represent Dongxian in the finals and compete with the geniuses of the other divine realms. Next, Lord Daozu will summon you. Geniuses, please follow me into the Tianxian Pavilion. Under Tuo Qinji's lead, 1,000 geniuses entered the main hall of the Tianxian Pavilion. The interior of the main hall of the Tianxian Pavilion was a world of its own. Once the geniuses entered the main hall, the scene in front of them changed drastically. In the space, the stars were dazzling, vast, and boundless. One could clearly hear the sound of the heavenly Tao from the vibrations of the stars. As the stars moved, endless mysteries of the heavenly Tao were revealed. Tuo Qinji had the geniuses wait in the starry sky. After the time it took for a joss stick to burn, a ray of starlight flashed out of the void and quickly transformed into a tall and upright figure. The person's face could not be seen clearly, but he was not deliberately hiding anything. The geniuses could only see a blur because their abilities were too low and they were not qualified to see his face. Dongxian Daozu. This figure was the supreme ruler of the Eastern Xian Divine Realm, Dongxian Daozu. The geniuses felt like they were ants facing the heavens. There is only respect and humility in their hearts. Greetings, Daozu. 1,000 geniuses bowed to the figure at the same time. Forget it. Dongxian Daozu spoke in a voice that seemed to come from another world. It was ethereal, but it was like thunder in the minds of the geniuses. The geniuses stood up shakily. Dongxian Daozu's gaze looked at the geniuses. Boom! Everything the geniuses saw turned into black and white, as if they had fallen into a world of yin and yang. Unlike the other geniuses, Su Fong sensed that Dongxian Daozu's gaze deliberately paused on him and then nodded slightly. However, Su Fong knew very well that Dongxian Daozu was not looking at him, but at Xian Daozu in his body. Chi! All the geniuses felt a ray of starlight suddenly bloom in their Dao palaces and then disappear without a trace, merging into their Dao palaces and Dao hearts. In an instant, Su Fong felt a mysterious connection with the Eastern Xian Divine Realm's heavenly Dao. He could easily communicate and control the heavenly Dao's power, and his willpower had also improved imperceptibly. The other geniuses were the same. They were all shocked and surprised. Dongxian Daozu said majestically, "This seat will bestow upon each of you a Dongxian seed. In the future, your cultivation in the Eastern Xian Divine Realm will be twice the result with half the effort, and you will also receive the protection of this seat's will. At the same time, it is also a supreme honor." Everyone was surprised and delighted. They did not expect to receive such great benefits after being summoned by Dongxian Daozu. 10,000 years later, you will head to the Central Xian Divine Realm to participate in the Jiuquan Heavenly Selection Finals. I hope that you will be able to display your peerless talent and win supreme honor for the Eastern Xian Divine Realm and also the glory of the human race. Dongxian Daozu encouraged the geniuses. Su Fong will stay for now. The rest of you go. As Dongxian Daozu nodded, rays of starlight enveloped the geniuses and sent them out of the starry sky, leaving only Su Fong behind. The geniuses appeared in the square outside Heaven Pavilion. When they realized that Su Fong was indeed missing, they immediately broke out in discussion. Why was Su Fong summoned by Daozu alone? He is Dongxuan's #1 genius and has redeemed the Eastern Xian Divine Realm's face. What's so strange about him being summoned by Daozu alone? Lord Daozu summoned him alone. How glorious is this? Su Fong is going to rise. Chapter 29:36. A private summon? Su Fong was not surprised. However, there was no surprise, nor was there anything to be proud of. Xian Daozu, the supremacy of Xian Divine Realm, had a strand of thought in his body. Su Fong naturally did not mind a private summon by supremacy Dongxian. In addition, Su Fong guessed that Dongxian Daozu had summoned him alone not because of his talent, nor was it because he had won Jiuquan's first place in Dongxian. He had come for Xian Daozu. As expected, Dongxian Daozu looked at Su Fong, as if he had seen through everything about Su Fong, directly seeing Xian Daozu in Su Fong's body. Dongxian Daozu then scoffed and said, "Old devil, must this ancestor show himself before you're willing to come out?" A divine light flashed out of Su Fong's body, quickly transforming into Xian Daozu's figure. Xian Daozu said indifferently, "Old thing, you're not someone impressive. Do you need this ancestor to greet you?" Under the pressure of the two supremes' auras, Su Fong was like a wooden puppet, not moving at all. Su Fong was dumbfounded when he heard their conversation. Judging from their tone, it did not seem like they were on good terms. Dongxian Daozu snorted, "I thought you were too ashamed to come out and see this ancestor after being defeated by this ancestor last time." Xian Daozu retorted, "This ancestor admits that his ability is slightly inferior to yours, but this ancestor's disciple is better than your disciple." Humph. This ancestor casually picked up a disciple from a low-level universe, and he's already better than the disciple you've painstakingly cultivated. If it wasn't for this ancestor's disciple, you'd be utterly embarrassed. How dare you show off in front of this ancestor? Casually picked up a disciple? Su Fong was gloomy, feeling as if he had been casually picked up from the streets by Xian Daozu. Dongxian Daozu snorted and nodded. This ancestor has to admit this. "Old devil, how about we make a deal? Your disciple belongs to this ancestor, and you can name your terms." He actually wanted to snatch the disciple. Su Fang was shocked and stunned. Shi Xian Daozu said proudly, "This ancestor's disciple will be a powerful figure who will support Shi Xian Divine Realm in the future. No matter what terms you offer, this ancestor will not make a deal with you. Old thing, give up this idea." Dongxian Daozu sighed regretfully. After that, the two of them used a peculiar method to communicate. Even though Su Fang could hear their voices, it was hard for him to know what they were talking about. Clearly, these two great supreme beings were discussing the secrets of the 9 profound upper echelons. Half an hour later, Shi Xian Daozu returned to Su Fang's body, and there was no more movement. Dongxian Daozu looked at Su Fang and said imposingly, "You're a Shi Xian disciple, but you've bullied this ancestor's disciple without restraint in Dongxian. Do you know your crime?" Su Fang felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, his entire body turning cold and stiff. "It was the Heaven Pavilion disciple who bullied me, and I had no choice but to fight back. Why am I the one bullying the Heaven Pavilion disciple? Besides, I've stopped the foreign tribes from invading Dongxian Divine Realm, and I've even won Jiuxuan's first place in Dongxian, defending Dongxuan's honor. Why didn't Dongxian Daozu mention it?" Su Fang was groaning inwardly, but he could not utter a single word. Su Fang had thought that Dongxian Daozu would unleash the wrath of thunder, but Dongxian Daozu changed the topic. "You're still a cultivator from Dongxian after all. If you can't get into the top 10 in the Jiuxuan finals 10,000 years later and embarrass Dongxian, see how this ancestor will punish you." Dongxian Daozu waved his sleeves, and Su Fang felt the world spin as he flew out of the Heaven Pavilion's main hall. Su Fang appeared in the square, stumbling a little before regaining his composure. 10th place in the Jiuxuan finals? That Dongxian Daozu is even more ruthless than Master. Master only let me get into the top 100. Su Fang chuckled bitterly to himself. He knew very well that Dongxian Daozu was obviously scaring him, venting his resentment for failing to snatch Dongxian Daozu's disciple. Su Fang was very depressed in his heart. A dignified Tao ancestor expert was actually so rude and unreasonable, venting his resentment on a junior like him. Many geniuses were looking at Su Fang, their gazes filled with envy and jealousy. Even Tuo Qianji's gaze towards Su Fang was obviously different from before. Sensing everyone's gaze, Su Fang felt even more depressed. Geniuses, remember to cultivate diligently when you go back. Don't forget yourself and neglect your cultivation just because you've achieved something. Remember, the God domain of Jiuxuan selects geniuses not for you to enjoy power and indulge in pleasure, but to become the pillars of the human race in the future and contribute to the human race. If this reputed one finds out that any of you have acted recklessly, this reputed one will not let you off easily. Tuo Qianji's sharp gaze swept across the geniuses. Many geniuses felt a chill in their hearts, and those who were originally complacent immediately became alert. 10,000 years later, gather at Daozu City and head to the central profound divine domain to compete with the Jiuxuan geniuses. Tuo Qianji nodded and unleashed a divine aura that enveloped the geniuses and swept them out of the space where the Heavenly Pavilion's main hall was. The Heavenly Pavilion's main hall also quickly disappeared from the sky above Daozu City. The geniuses dispersed one after another. Sima Xiaoxiao looked at Su Fang and said coldly, "Su Fang, I hope that your strength will not disappoint me 10,000 years later. Otherwise, it will be a disgrace to me to be on the same level as you." Then, she left embarrassedly under the escort of many South Mystic cultivators. Su Fang raised his eyebrows. This woman is still unconvinced even now. "Fine, wait until the Jiuxuan finals. I will use my strength to convince you completely." Just as he was about to leave, Tuo Qianji's voice sounded, "Su Fang, follow this reputed one. This reputed one has the time to help you nurture the heavenly Tao core." Su Fang was surprised and overjoyed. Nurturing the heavenly Tao core and reviving Goddess Luo were the top priority. Everything else could be put aside for the time being. He followed Tuo Qianji to the depths of Daozu City and passed through layers of barriers before arriving at an independent space-time. This was actually a space-time that Tuo Qianji had created with his supreme divine power as a place to stay in the heaven-forsaken wilderness. Although the cultivation environment was not as good as the heavenly pavilion, it could be considered a cultivation holy land in the heaven-forsaken wilderness. They arrived at a mountain peak and crossed a ridge. Suddenly, their eyes widened, and they entered a valley filled with birds and flowers. Tuo Qianji had been waiting for Su Fong in front of a straw hut in the valley. Su Fong took out all the spiritual items needed to nurture the heavenly Tao core. Tuo Qianji's divine light swept across the spiritual items and praised, "It's not difficult to cultivate a pregnant heavenly Tao nucleus. However, the formula you used is obviously top-notch. You actually managed to gather so many precious materials. It seems like you spent a lot of effort." Then, Su Fong took out the heavenly Tao core from the depths of his body. Staring at the heavenly Tao core, Su Fong could feel the familiar life energy within it. It was as if he could see Goddess Luo's beautiful figure in his eyes. Scenes of his past flashed through his mind. Tuo Qianji smiled and said, "With my help, you will be able to see your Tao companion soon. Why do you have to act as if you're separated by life and death? I will leave everything to you, my lord." Su Fong cupped his fists and bowed to Tuo Qianji. Then he passed the heavenly Tao core and all the spiritual items to Tuo Qianji. "What a frightening life energy. Seems like you have been nourishing this gestation heavenly Tao core with supreme spiritual items. If that's the case, my chances of success will be even greater." Sensing the life energy within the gestation heavenly Tao core, Tuo Qianji could not help but praise. Su Fong used the purple jade divine marrow to nourish the heavenly Tao core, causing Goddess Luo's life energy to be shocking. Furthermore, the purple jade divine marrow would also change her talent. Once the heavenly Tao core was revived, her future would be limitless. She would no longer be limited to the level of a low-level universe. Go back and wait. I only need 1,000 years, which is equivalent to 100,000 years in my cave abode. It is enough to successfully nurture the heavenly Tao core. When the time comes, I promise to return you a living Tao companion. Tuo Qianji waved his hand and smiled at Su Fong. Su Fong said, "The cultivation environment here is excellent. I will cultivate here while waiting. Please allow me to do so." "You're worried about me, right? Do as you wish." Tuo Qianji chuckled. He took a step forward and entered the unassuming straw hut. Su Fong found a quiet, flat, and spacious place in the valley. Then, he took out the wooden Xian bao that he had just obtained. Looking at the wooden Xian bao, Su Fong's eyes shone brightly. Fuyao Grotto Heaven. The name of the wooden Xian bao was indeed Fuyao Grotto Heaven. A wooden Xian bao that had amazing flying abilities, powerful attacks, and the ability to move a cave abode was rare in the Eastern Xian divine realm. Furthermore, the quality of Fuyao Grotto Heaven had reached the peak of supreme grade. Its value was comparable to a powerful royal grade Xian bao. It surpassed the peach soul boat that Su Fong had obtained from Yifei Bai. Su Fong sat down cross-legged and used his blood essence, will, and magic power to fuse with Fuyao Grotto Heaven. About 500 years. With a thought from Su Fong, the wooden sculpture trembled violently and grew rapidly. The Kuan Peng let out a loud cry as if it had come alive. In the end, the Kuan Peng grew to a size of more than 100 feet. After 500 years of fusion, Su Fong could barely activate a portion of Fuyao Grotto Heaven's power. He could enter the interior space, but he was still unable to unleash a powerful attack. Su Fong's figure flashed and entered the palace. The interior space of the palace was very small. It was only 10 square feet in size. There was a time formation in the middle. Su Fong entered the formation and activated it. Then he sat down cross-legged and threw away all distracting thoughts. He began to settle into a state of cultivation. The speed of his cultivation was astonishing. Su Fong's cultivation was sufficient. He only needed to activate the Joshuan Limitless Sutra Heart Sutra and absorb energy without restraint. He swallowed pills to quickly accumulate energy and increase his cultivation. He also had the heaven-piercing Blood King vine, so he did not need to worry about the various resources in his hands. It would be difficult for his cultivation speed not to be fast. Chapter 29:37. It had been around 30,000 years in Fuyao Paradise. On this day, Su Fong suddenly flew out of his abode. Hiss! Tribulation energy sprayed out from Su Fong's body. A smile bloomed on Su Fong's face. So, he was about to charge through the peak of the intermediate Downlord realm and advance into the upper Downlord realm. He used his full strength to attack every corner of his body, and his body was swiftly covered in flames. The tribulation flames were extremely shocking. It burned his skin to the point it was reduced to ash, and his body was trembling incessantly as if it was about to shatter. Some impurities seeped out from his flesh and blood along with the trembling of his body. This continued for more than half a month. His body calmed down both internally and externally. The tribulation flames were extinguished, and the tribulation energy swiftly vanished. Su Fong's body started to be reconstructed. His skin, flesh, tendons, bones, and Dao Palace were transforming as well. Su Fong's age returned to normal as well, and he was 17 years old once more. This meant that he hadn't just recovered the vitality he'd consumed during the ranking battles. He was even at his peak right now. Once everything calmed down, Su Fong entered Fuyao Paradise once more and started to cultivate the Jiushuan's infinite scripture, extreme Dao Dark Yang technique, and various other cultivation techniques. Unknowingly, he'd cultivated for around 70,000 years. Su Fong's cultivation had finally stabilized at the upper Downlord realm. He counted with his fingers and noticed that he'd used 120,000 years to advance into the upper Downlord realm. So, 2,000 years had probably passed in the outside world. That's strange. Lord Ta Qianji said that it would only take 1,000 years for the pregnant heavenly Dao core to be completely nurtured, and the heavenly maiden would be able to be reborn. 2,000 years have already passed. Could it be that something unexpected has happened? Su Fong became nervous when it was related to heavenly maiden Luo's safety. He flew out of Fuyao Paradise and absorbed it into his Dao Palace before he arrived before Tua Qianji's cottage. The cottage seemed ordinary, but it was actually covered in a powerful barrier, and it was impossible for Su Fong to enter it. He sent a soul core voice transmission to Tua Qianji, but there was no response. Su Fong was filled with anxiety, but he had no choice but to wait patiently before the cottage. 30 years passed. Tua Qianji finally walked out of the cottage. Su Fong's heart sank when he saw Tua Qianji's dispirited aura and his frown. He hurriedly asked, "My lord, how is the pregnant heavenly lawn nucleus?" Tua Qianji smiled embarrassedly. "Yes, but it's only half done." Su Fong was stunned. What did he mean by half? "See for yourself." Tua Qianji took out a Xian Guang from his palm. There was a figure shrouded in the Xian Guang. When the Xian Guang dissipated, the figure was clearly revealed. It was a little girl who was only 12 years old. She had a head full of black hair and a youthful face that could be said to be flawless. Her eyes were deep and bright, like the vast universe. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The little girl's aura caused the mysterious Dao runes from the life shrinking technique to flash rapidly in Su Fong's Dao Palace. In the end, they condensed into a shadow. Goddess Luo. This little girl actually possessed Goddess Luo's aura of destiny. Su Fong looked at the little girl carefully. Indeed, he could see Goddess Luo's appearance from her face. In other words, this little girl was Goddess Luo who had yet to grow up. The little girl was sized up by Su Fong, and her eyes revealed a confused look. She said in a slightly immature voice, "Who are you? Why do I feel such a sense of familiarity?" Su Fong said with a trembling voice, "Goddess, I am Su Fong. Have you lost your past memories?" Logically speaking, Goddess Luo used her life aura to nurture the pregnant heavenly lawn nucleus. The pregnant heavenly lawn nucleus was equivalent to a Dharma body of hers. Although Goddess Luo's original body had died, the pregnant heavenly law nucleus still retained everything about her. As long as the pregnant heavenly law nucleus was successfully nurtured, she would naturally reconstruct her physical body and regain her past memories. Although Goddess Luo had been reborn, she looked like this. She even seemed to have lost her memories. Su Fang looked at Tuo Qianji. "My lord, why did this happen?" Tuo Qianji said, "This pregnant heavenly law nucleus is clearly different from other pregnant heavenly law nuclei. Even with my strength, I could only nurture it to a half-mature state. However, I cannot give up halfway. I could only use all my strength to revive your Tao companion." In the end, it ended up like this. Su Fang's heart sank to the bottom. He did not expect this. Something had happened to Goddess Luo after all. Su Fang's heart was in chaos. He felt conflicted and guilty. He felt that he had let Goddess Luo down. Suddenly, Shixin Daozu spoke from Su Fang's Jiushuan Dao Palace. "Su Fang, don't worry. This is a good thing." "A good thing?" "The reason why you only succeeded by half is because the spiritual item you used to nurture the pregnant heavenly law nucleus is too shocking. Furthermore, the divine purple jade marrow is constantly nourishing it, causing the pregnant heavenly law nucleus to mutate and become even more profound. Tuo Qianji's strength is limited, so it is difficult for him to nurture it to a normal state. That's why your Tao companion is in a mature state." "Why does Master say that it's a good thing when I only succeeded by half?" "The pregnant heavenly law nucleus is too profound. Even with Tuo Qianji's cultivation, he barely succeeded by half. This means that your Tao companion's cultivation with the help of the pregnant heavenly law nucleus is also extremely shocking. As your Tao companion continues to improve, her age, cultivation, and even her past memories will gradually return to normal." "I see. Your Tao companion has an extraordinary Xian body. She will definitely not be a mediocre person in the future. Don't worry." Su Fang carefully sensed Goddess Luo's aura and discovered that it was extremely shocking. It was actually as profound as a lower-level Tao Lord. Only then did he believe Shixin Daozu's words. As he gazed at Tuo Qianji, who had a guilty expression on his face, Su Fang bowed deeply. "Thank you, my lord." Tuo Qianji waved his hand and laughed bitterly. "I was too confident in the past. I never expected that it would actually be like this. I don't even know where to put my face, so why are you thanking me?" Su Fang said solemnly, "No matter what, you've done your best. Su Fang will definitely remember this kindness." Tuo Qianji nodded and said, "You know how to repay kindness. Take your Tao companion with you. I need to recover as well." "Yes." Su Fang executed a strand of divine might and enveloped Goddess Luo. After that, he brought her out of the space-time where Tuo Qianji resided. Whem, whem. As soon as they left the independent space-time, a few talismans within his body immediately started to move. It turned out that Xuanxin had sent Qin Heng to Square Sky City to look for Su Fang after he noticed that Su Fang hadn't returned to Square Sky City. Since Su Fang had gone directly to Tuo Qianji's place, it was naturally difficult to contact him. Gu Qianxi, Xu Chongxiao, and Dong Xinichen also sent their primordial spirit thoughts through the talismans, inviting Su Fang to meet them. Su Fang immediately sent his primordial spirit thoughts through the talismans, asking Qin Heng to meet him at the city lord's residence. He also contacted Gu Qianxi and the rest. After that, he brought Goddess Luo and flew towards the city lord's residence. Goddess Luo had lost her memories and looked no different from a 12-year-old girl. She looked around curiously. Su Fang flew slowly and patiently told Goddess Luo about the past. Goddess Luo hadn't completely forgotten what had happened in the past. She could still vaguely remember some of it. However, it felt like a dream. After waking up, she could clearly remember what had happened in the dream, but she couldn't remember it. Su Fang was naturally overjoyed that Goddess Luo had been reborn. However, looking at Goddess Luo's current appearance, Su Fang had a strange feeling in his heart. Su Fang thought, "Goddess, when you return to your previous appearance, I will definitely hold a grand ceremony and let you become my Tao companion again." When they arrived at the city lord's residence, Wu Dao's sect master personally welcomed Su Fang into the guest hall. After sitting for a while, Gu Tianqi, Shu Chongxiao, Dong Xinichen, and Dong Xinchan arrived at the city lord's residence. Dong Xinchan had returned to Heaven Pavilion before the start of the Heaven selection in Jiushuan. Unexpectedly, she had also come to Wudao City. Looking at how close she was with Dong Xinichen, it was obvious that their marriage was a success. When Gu Tianqi saw Goddess Luo, he asked in surprise, "Su Fang, we haven't seen each other for so many years. Where did you kidnap such a little girl from? She can't be your daughter, right?" Goddess Luo said loudly, "I'm not Su Fang's daughter. I'm his Dao companion." Dao companion? Goddess Luo's childish voice stunned Gu Tianqi and the rest. Goddess Luo was only 12 years old. It was obvious that they had misunderstood. Gu Tianqi's face darkened. "Su Fang, aren't you afraid of damaging your Dao heart?" The way Shu Chongxiao and Dong Xinichen looked at Su Fang also became very strange. It was as if they were looking at a pervert. Dong Xinchan said angrily, "Su Fang, I thought you were a good person. I didn't expect you. You're actually like this." Su Fang was very depressed. He could only patiently explain Goddess Luo's background. Only then did Gu Tianqi and the rest breathe a sigh of relief. Gu Tianqi laughed loudly and said, "Su Fang, if you really have that kind of fetish, I'm going to cut ties with you." Su Fang touched the tip of his nose and smiled bitterly. He had to let Goddess Luo grow up as soon as possible. Otherwise, who knew what kind of misunderstanding would occur in the future? While they were talking and laughing, Qin Heng also arrived at the guest hall. After greeting Su Fang and the other geniuses, Qin Heng looked hesitant. Su Fang asked, "What's the matter?" He said to Su Fang, "Master, when I left Square Sky City, a woman named Du Jixiang came to find me and asked about your whereabouts. She said you promised her something." Du Jixiang? Su Fang was stunned. The beautiful figure of the saintess of Mystic Maiden Palace appeared in his mind. He had promised to help Du Jixiang. After being summoned by Dong Xindaozu, he went straight to Tua Qianji's place. Therefore, he didn't have time to deal with this matter. Then he nodded and said, "What's wrong? What happened?" "Just now, someone from Square Sky City told me that an expert named Venerable Qi Yuan and the people of Mystic Maiden Palace went to Square Sky City to look for Du Jixiang." Who was Venerable Qi Yuan? Su Fang had never heard of such an expert. Qin Heng replied, "This subordinate is already investigated thoroughly. Venerable Crimson Origin is the master of the Crimson Origin Profound World. In the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, the Crimson Origin Profound World is also a major world. Du Jixiang is Venerable Crimson Origin's concubine." Su Fang finally understood that Venerable Qi Yuan was the big power that Mystic Maiden Palace wanted to curry favor with by using Du Jixiang. Chapter 29:38. Qin Heng quickly knelt down. Venerable Qi Yuan is an expert who has surpassed the Dao Lord level. No one in Square Sky City can stop him. Hua Tianyu tried to stop him, but was injured by Venerable Qi Yuan instead. I heard from the people of Square Sky City that even the mistress was humiliated by Venerable Qi Yuan. Xuanqin was humiliated? Su Fang's gaze turned sharp. What a domineering Venerable Qi Yuan. Su Fang, you're not thinking of interfering in this matter, are you? That woman is not related to you at all. Besides, the Jiushuan finals are approaching. It's really not worth it to be distracted by an irrelevant woman and waste your time. Shu Chongxiao still remembered the woman who had confessed her love to Su Fang in public. Gu Tianqi spoke up as well. That woman is the concubine of the master of a mystical world. If you interfere, I'm afraid it'll be detrimental to your reputation. Both of them were speaking the truth. The words that Du Jixiang had once said echoed in Su Fang's mind. Back then, you also came from a lowly background. Could it be that you have forgotten the hardships of being a low-level existence back then? One could imagine how hopeless Du Jixiang was when she fell into Venerable Qi Yuan's hands and how disappointed she was with Su Fang. What angered Su Fang was that not only did Venerable Qi Yuan come to Square Sky City to capture people, he had also injured Hua Tianyu and humiliated Xuanqin. This was something he could not tolerate no matter what. Su Fang recounted Du Zhixiang's incident to them. Then, Su Fang said decisively, "Since I promised Du Zhixiang, I can't just sit by and watch. That venerable Qi Yuan is too arrogant and domineering. I, Su Fang, would like to see what kind of person he is to be so arrogant in my square sky city and even humiliate my dour partner." Dong Xianqin said domineeringly, "That venerable Qi Yuan is too arrogant. How dare he look down on Dong Xuan's top genius? It's time to let him know that the dignity of Dong Xuan's pinnacle genius cannot be offended." Dong Xianchan added, "That's right. That venerable Qi Yuan is too despicable, and Du Zhixiang is too pitiful. Brother Su Fang, why don't you snatch Du Zhixiang back and make her your dour partner and teach that venerable Qi Yuan a lesson?" The originally solemn atmosphere instantly changed after Dong Xianchan's words. Su Fang rubbed his nose and said with a wry smile, "Little sister Xiaochan, do I look like someone who would steal a human Tao companion for himself?" Yes, not only Dong Xianchan, but Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and Dong Xianqin also said in unison. Su Fang was speechless. Goddess Luo giggled at the side. Gu Qianqi said, "Oh well, I've been cultivating in seclusion for too long. I'm looking for a place to travel and broaden my mind. I'll go with you." Shu Chongxiao was heavily injured in the top 10 ranking match and had yet to recover. He did not want to miss the opportunity to deepen his relationship with Su Fang, so he left his true self behind and sent an avatar to accompany Su Fang. Dong Xianqin and Dong Xianchan also decided to go to Qiyuan together. Su Fang released his Xianyang avatar and had it return to Square Sky City with Qin Heng so that Xuanqin would not be worried. He planned to let Goddess Luo follow them back to Square Sky City, but Goddess Luo insisted on following Su Fang's true self. Su Fang thought about it and decided to end the grudge between Goddess Luo and the Feng clan on this trip to Qiyuan. It was a long-cherished wish of his. They flew out of Dallas City. Su Fang took out Fuyao Grotto Heaven and brought them into the mobile abode. Then, he activated Fuyao Grotto Heaven. 1,000 feet tall Kunpeng below the abode raised its head and let out a deafening cry. The abode on its back shrunk rapidly and disappeared into its back. Then, the Kunpeng flapped its wings and the space shook violently. The Kunpeng's huge body disappeared into the void. Less than 300 years. In a mystical world playing deep in the eastern Xian divine domain, the void suddenly rippled like water. 1,000 feet tall, Kunpeng leaped out of the void like a giant fish leaping out of the sea. A palace quickly appeared on the Kunpeng's back as it flew out of the void. Su Fang and the others flew out of the palace. To travel from heaven-forsaken barren region to eastern Xian divine domain, one had to cross countless plains and distances. It would take at least 100,000 years for a Taoist to fly, and they had to take into account the various dangers along the way. Even passing through the mystical door would take thousands of years. The cost of passing through the mystical door was not something an ordinary Taoist cultivator could afford. Su Fang had activated Fuyao Grotto Heaven and arrived at the mystical world playing deep in Dongxian in just 300 years. It was obvious how shocking his speed was. However, the price Su Fang had to pay wasn't small either. The divine stones he had used to activate Fu Yao's cave dwelling had caused his wealth to shrink by at least a fifth. Such an enormous expenditure caused Su Fang to feel an endless heartache. Su Fang left Goddess Luo in Fu Yao Grotto Heaven and flew for 3 months with Gu Qianqi and the others before arriving at the periphery of a mystical world. Before coming to Red Origin World, Su Fang had purposely inquired about Red Origin World and Venerable Red Origin in the Chamber of Commerce. Red Origin World was a major world in the Eastern Xian divine domain. Although its overall strength was not as great as the 3 supreme mysterious sects or the Luo Shao Sword sect, it could still be considered a first-rate force. Venerable Red Origin was the Red Origin World's realm lord and the strongest peerless expert in the entire world. His strength was unfathomable and far surpassed ordinary realm lords. Moreover, this person was violent, arrogant, and domineering. He was considered a powerful expert in the Eastern Xian divine domain. After entering the mystical world, after passing through countless territories, cities, and voids, there was a city floating in the voids. The surroundings were covered by a barrier, making it impossible to see what was going on inside the city. It gave off an ethereal and illusory feeling, like a mirage. They arrived in the sky above Red Origin World's royal city. Gu Qianqi asked, Su Fang, what do you want to do? Shu Chongxiao said domineeringly, what else can we do? We'll just kill our way in. Su Fang shook his head and said, no, we're guests from afar. It won't be too late to reason with Venerable Red Origin first. Reason? Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and Dong Xianichen all looked at Su Fang in surprise. In their impression, Su Fang was not a person who liked to reason. Moreover, he was bullied by Venerable Red Origin in Square Sky City this time. How could he reason with Venerable Red Origin? I'll get Venerable Red Origin to come out. Dong Xianichen volunteered and flew to the sky above Red Origin World's royal city. He then let out a thunderous roar towards Royal City. Venerable Red Origin, come out. His voice reverberated over Royal City like spring thunder, penetrating the barrier and reverberating inside the city. After a commotion in Royal City, a divine light flashed from the barrier and quickly condensed into phantoms of over 100 powerhouses. One of the phantoms released a will that made people tremble as he shouted domineeringly, who are you? How dare you call supremacy by his name in Red Origin World? Supremacy? Venerable Red Origin could indeed be called supremacy in Red Origin World, but he was just a local tyrant. Dong Xianichen displayed the loftiness of a Heaven Pavilion disciple and shouted, I'm Dong Xianichen, a Heaven Pavilion disciple. Quickly get Red Origin to come out and see me. A Heaven Pavilion disciple? The leading phantoms suddenly trembled and quickly disappeared from the barrier. Who knew that in less than half an incense stick's time, the phantoms flashed again from the barrier and shouted at Dong Xianichen. Supremacy said that a mere Heaven Pavilion disciple dares to be arrogant in Red Origin World. If you want to see Supremacy, enter Royal City through the city gate obediently and wait for Supremacy's summons. Dong Xianichen was furious. Red Origin dares to look down on me? The phantoms snorted disdainfully. If it were Dong Xian Huiwang, Dong Xian Lai, Dong Xin Qinyang, or Dong Xin Qingwei, Supremacy might welcome them personally. You're only a Heaven Pavilion disciple. What right do you have to ask Supremacy to come out and see you? Supremacy is in a bad mood recently. If you don't leave quickly and anger Supremacy, even your identity as a Heaven Pavilion disciple won't be able to protect you. Shu Chongxiao's cold voice suddenly rang out. I'm Shu Chongxiao of the Luo Shao Sword Sect. Do I have the right to ask Venerable Red Origin to come out? Gu Qianqi flew forward as well. I'm Gu Qianqi of the Three Sovereign Mystical Sect. Do I have the right? The phantoms of the phantoms trembled. The finals of Jiushuan's Heaven's Chosen Tournament had just ended. How could he not know Shu Chongxiao and Gu Qianqi, the two peerless geniuses in the top 10? Suddenly, a thick and rough voice rolled out from within the barrier. Juniors, your father has been very annoyed recently. I don't care where you come from. All of you get lost. Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and Dong Xianichen were all enraged by Venerable Red Origin's arrogance. Su Fang spoke up indifferently. Venerable Red Origin, I, Su Fang, want to see you. Can't I? Su Fang? Gazes fell on Su Fang. Then, gasps of surprise came from within the barrier. A moment later, a beam of divine light pierced through the barrier and quickly condensed into a lifelike silhouette. The person was tall and muscular, wearing a long red robe. His square face was covered in a beard, exuding a rough and domineering aura. Su Fang's divine light swept over the person. Venerable Red Origin? It's just an avatar, not the real person. Venerable Red Origin's voice boomed like a bell. Su Fang, this reputed one has made an exception to see you because you are Dongshuan's top genius. What is it? Speak quickly. Su Fong spoke in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Venerable Red Origin, you injured my subordinates in Fontian City and humiliated my Tao partner. Of course, I'm here to ask you for an explanation. Venerable Red Origin snorted. This reputed one was trying to capture the escaped concubine, but your subordinates and Tao partner try to stop this reputed one. This reputed one has already given face to Dongshuan's top genius by not killing them. You've come all the way to Red Origin to ask for an explanation? Su Fong's face darkened as he asked indifferently. Venerable Red Origin, how can you be so unreasonable? Venerable Qi Yuan laughed out loud. Rude and unreasonable? Su Fong, don't think that you're someone just because you've won first place in Jiushuan's God's chosen tournament. In front of ordinary cultivators, you are indeed someone important. But in front of this reputed one, the ruler of this mystical world, you're just a junior with an undeserved reputation. In Jiushuan's God realm, fame means nothing. Everything depends on one's strength. Venerable Red Origin's contemptuous tone made Gu Qianqi and the others grit their teeth in anger. Chapter 29:39. Su Fong's expression did not change. Hand over Du Zhixiang, and we will leave. Venerable Qi Yuan was enraged. Du Zhixiang is my concubine. How dare you ask me to hand over my concubine? Su Fong, how dare you humiliate me like this? Do you want to die? Su Fong said domineeringly. Du Zhixiang announced in public that she will become Su Fong's Tao companion. This is something everyone knows. Don't you know? Su Fong, you're courting death. Venerable Qi Yuan was like an enraged, ferocious beast. A thought flashed out from between his eyebrows. It transformed into a handprint that was hundreds of feet large. It carried a kind of suppressive power that could suppress all shackles. It pressed down on Su Fong. Su Fong did not move. He raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. Venerable Qi Yuan suddenly realized and exclaimed inwardly, "Oh no, I've been tricked by him." Su Fong was a peerless genius on the Tianxian ranking. Once he was attacked by an expert, he would be punished by the Jiushuan heavenly law. Venerable Qi Yuan naturally knew about this. Venerable Qi Yuan was also the master of the mysterious world. Not only was he powerful, but he was also a cunning old fox. He had encountered some things that made him panic. Just now, he was provoked by Su Fong. That was why he attacked Su Fong. When he released the thought, Venerable Qi Yuan realized that Su Fong was deliberately luring him to attack and bring about the punishment of the Jiushuan heavenly law. Venerable Qi Yuan was about to withdraw the thought. Who knew Su Fong's figure flashed and flew toward the handprint. Boom! Su Fong was sent flying more than 10 miles away. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura became weak. He looked like he was seriously injured. Su Fong shouted angrily, "Venerable Qi Yuan, I'm a genius on the Tianxian ranking. How dare you kill me? Su Fong, you despicable brat. How dare you trick me?" Venerable Qi Yuan never thought that Su Fong would trick him in such a way. He could not help but be shocked and angry. Suddenly, a low rumble of thunder resounded from the void. Venerable Red Origin's divine light instantly changed. Immediately afterward, a shadow outlined by lightning flashed out of the void. Although the projection was extremely illusory, it carried with it a terrifying aura of heavenly punishment. It raised a hand and pointed at Venerable Crimson Origin. This was different from the Jiushuan heavenly punishment that Su Fong had attracted in the past. This shadow was a manifestation of the Jiushuan heavenly punishment. Once it was touched, it would automatically appear, and the heavenly punishment would be much stronger than before. I was tricked by that brat. Spare me. Under Jiushuan's heavenly laws, no matter how powerful Venerable Qi Yuan was, he was powerless to resist. He could only cry out in despair. Boom! An unparalleled destructive power descended upon Venerable Crimson Origin. Lightning flashed, and his avatar began to shatter layer by layer. After 10 breaths, the heavenly punishment's power dissipated, and the lightning shadow also disappeared into the void. Venerable Crimson Origin did not really kill Su Fong, and Su Fong's injuries were not serious. Jiushuan's will of heaven could automatically make the judgment and did not kill Venerable Crimson Origin's avatar. Otherwise, with the heavenly punishment's power of Jiuxuan's will of heaven, even 100 Venerable Crimson Origin would be instantly turned into ashes. Venerable Crimson Origin suffered greatly because of this. His avatar was no longer in human form, and it was barely holding on without shattering. Gu Qianqi, Xu Chongxiao, Dong Xinichen, and Dong Xinchan were all dumbfounded. They finally understood that this was Su Fang's intention when he said that he wanted to reason with Venerable Crimson Origin. As a result, the same thought appeared in their minds. Despicable, too despicable. However, they could not help but admire Su Fang's wisdom. He was adept at using whatever power he could. According to the 9 profound heavenly laws, as long as Su Fang did not take the initiative to attack an expert, if an expert whose cultivation level exceeded his by more than a major realm attacked him, it would trigger the will of the heavenly laws and be punished by the heavenly laws. Su Fang had used this rule to deal with Venerable Crimson Origin, causing Venerable Crimson Origin to suffer greatly. Whoosh! A figure broke through the air and sucked Venerable Crimson Origin's avatar, which had almost been killed, into his body. It was Venerable Crimson Origin's true body. Su Fang, how dare you plot against me? Venerable Crimson Origin stared at Su Fang, and a terrifying will of heaven surged in his eyes. Su Fang's domineering aura rose spontaneously, and it could not be faked. Didn't you say that I, Su Fang, was a genius who did not live up to my reputation? I'll teach you a lesson and let you know what it means to be the #1 genius of the Eastern Xian Divine region. Hand over Du Jixiang, and then personally go to Square Heaven City to apologize. Otherwise, even your true body can't be protected. Venerable Crimson Origin shouted like thunder. Su Fang, don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you have the protection of the 9 heavens. I only need to suppress my cultivation to the upper Tao profound realm, which is only a realm higher than yours, and I won't touch the Jiuxuan's will of heaven. I can suppress you all the same. Su Fang smiled casually. Why don't you give it a try? Venerable Crimson Origin snorted disdainfully. You so-called geniuses are just a bunch of rookies who haven't experienced any tempering. How would you know the power of a true expert? Moreover, although there's only one level between Tao Master and Tao Profound Realm, it's actually like a heavenly chasm. Wouldn't it be easy for me to crush you with my upper Tao Profound Realm cultivation? Seeing Venerable Crimson Origin being so arrogant, Gu Tianqi and the rest looked at each other and smiled. They left the 2 far away and had no intention of helping. The moment Venerable Crimson Origin's voice faded, he immediately released 3,000 thoughts, enveloping Su Fang as well as the surrounding 100 miles. The thoughts erupted with one thick and majestic divine might after another, swiftly condensing into one towering mountain peak after another. The divine might formed a world, shackling Su Fang inside. 3,000 great mountains released a horrifying heavy pressure, crushing towards Su Fang from all directions, wanting to directly crush Su Fang into minced meat. Tao Profound Realm powerhouses, Su Fang, suppressed them a long time ago. Furthermore, it's not just 1 or 2. Su Fang revealed a towering smile and displayed my Lord's 10 Direction seal. 9 thoughts transformed into 9 phantoms, forming different hand seals at the same time. A supreme divine might of my Lord's 10 Directions erupted with a loud bang. In an instant, my Lord's 10 Directions seals divine might spread out to the surroundings, shattering Venerable Crimson Origin's world tyrannically, dominating everything. 3,000 great mountains also rapidly turned into nothingness, started to shatter layer by layer. Finally, my Lord's 10 Directions seals divine might shackled Venerable Crimson Origin inside instead. At such a young age, he actually grasped such a powerful divine ability. Venerable Crimson Origin was greatly shocked. He had also witnessed the scene of Su Fang displaying my Lord's 10 Direction seal during the top 10 ranking battle. Only now did he realize that the power of this supreme divine ability was far beyond his imagination. Boom! A towering mountain phantom emerged from venerable Crimson Origin's body, shattering the shackles with the power to support heaven and earth. Suppress. Immediately after, venerable Crimson Origin's gaze focused on Su Fong, displaying the will visualization method, and also triggering Crimson Origin Profound World's will, transforming into a mountain peak, suppressing towards Su Fong with a loud bang. Although that was not some real mountain peak, it was a will attack unleashed by venerable Crimson Origin's powerful will and the entire Crimson Origin Profound World's will. It could directly crush Su Fong's Tao heart into smithereens. It could even cause the will attack to become reality due to the collapse of the will, causing Su Fong to lose his life on the spot. You control Crimson Origin Profound Worlds while I possess a seed of Dongxian Daozu's will. Can your Crimson Origin Profound Worlds will be above Dongxuan's? Su Fong flashed a domineering smile. A powerful will that was above the mystical worlds will erupted. The mountain peak that venerable Crimson Origin had conjured with a will visualization method shook a few times before shattering into pieces. The remaining power of Dongxuan's will did not diminish, slamming into venerable Crimson Origin and shaking his Tao heart, producing an inaudible shattering sound. Dongxuan's will. You've actually received the protection of Lord Daozu's will. Venerable Crimson Origin cried out in agony, retreating continuously as he looked at Su Fong in shock. Su Fong said coldly, "It's not too late to do as I say now." "Humph. I can't do anything to you, but can I avoid you even if I can't afford to offend you? Let's see what you can do to me in Crimson Origin's mystical world." Venerable Crimson Origin escaped into Crimson Origin's mystical world. Then, the barrier shone with a Xianguang, sealing off the entire capital. As the ruler of a realm, he had been so domineering and arrogant just a moment ago, but now he was a coward. "Do you think I can't do anything to you if you hide in the barrier?" Su Fong's eyes flashed with ruthlessness and coldness. With a wave of his hand, Su Fong released the Weaver Spider. It had been a long time since he had the chance to use the Weaver Spider's ability. It was mainly because he was afraid of provoking public outrage. Exalted Venerable One Spring Autumn, Great Elder Chang's son, and Destiny's platform powerhouse Hong Daoyuan were bent on seizing the Weaver Spider. Naturally, Su Fong could not find an excuse for them. Now that he had nothing to worry about, he could devour Crimson Origin's providence to strengthen the Weaver Spider. Next, Su Fong released his Violet Fate avatar. During his battle with Sima Xiao Xiao, Su Fong had continuously used the Heavenly Fate art. Although he'd recovered his lost lifespan, he hadn't been able to recover his lost providence. His Violet Fate avatar had always been in an extremely weak state. Although he couldn't see the consequences for now, it would definitely affect Su Fong's supreme providence as time went on. It might even bring him bad luck. This was a rare opportunity. He could use Crimson Origin's providence to recover his Violet Fate avatar. With his Violet Fate avatar's current strength, he couldn't directly devour the providence of the mystical world. However, with the Weaver Spider, he could let his Violet Fate avatar absorb the providence and turn it into Su Fong's own. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The Weaver Spider opened its mouth and spat out strands of ethereal spider silk. They ignored Crimson Origin's defenses and passed through the barrier, all the way to Imperial City. They seeped into the ground and burrowed into the Heavenly Fate Grotto, where Crimson Origin's providence gathered. Crimson Origin's providence was devoured by the Weaver Spider, and then a portion of the spider silk was distributed to the Violet Fate avatar. In this way, both the Violet Fate avatar and the Weaver Spider grew stronger at the same time. Although Gu Qianxi and the others couldn't see the Weaver Spider, they knew what Su Fong was doing. They were shocked and frightened. Chapter 2940. Su Fong said domineeringly, "You provoked me first, and I was forced to fight back. Why would Heaven Pavilion punish me? Besides, I'm a #1 genius of the Eastern Profound Divine Realm, and I'm about to represent the Eastern Profound Divine Realm in the Jiuquan Finals. Tell me, In the eyes of Heaven Pavilion's experts, which is more important, the profound world or me? Venerable Qi Yuan's exasperated voice rang out. Stop. Stop right now. How could Su Fong let go of such a good opportunity to wantonly devour profound world's fortune? The fortune spider devoured madly, and the purple fate avatar's depleted profound world's fortune was quickly restored to its peak state, and then rapidly grew stronger. Su Fong sensed the fortune spider's aura and rapidly grew stronger as well. Venerable Qi Yuan threatened, Su Fong, if you don't stop right now, don't blame me for being impolite and killing you with a sea of people. Su Fong snorted disdainfully. Why don't you try? I have Dongxian Daozu's will cede. If I'm in mortal danger, Dongxian Daozu's will descend and obliterate you and the entire profound world. Right now, you can only be bullied by me, but you have no right to fight back. As he spoke, more than 1/10 of the profound world's fortune was devoured. Venerable Qi Yuan could no longer sit still. He flew out of King's City, gritted his teeth, and said, Su Fong, I promise you. Stop right now. Only then did Su Fong put away his purple fate avatar and fortune spider. He couldn't be too greedy. If he devoured too much profound world's fortune, it would cause the entire profound world to rapidly decline, and it would definitely cause criticism, which would be detrimental to Su Fong's future. Venerable Qi Yuan gritted his teeth. I'll send my chief disciple to the profound world to apologize to your Dao, companion, and subordinates. That should do, right? Su Fong was unforgiving. You were the one who personally went to the profound world to capture them. The one to apologize must be your true body. I promise you. Venerable Qi Yuan could only grit his teeth and agree. Where's Du Zhixiang? Du Zhixiang is not in Qi Yuan's mysterious world. Venerable Qi Yuan's reply caused Su Fong's eyebrows to rise like swords. You took Du Zhixiang away from the square heaven realm, and now you're saying she's not in the Qi Yuan profound world? Venerable Red Origin took out a jade slip from his palm and sneered. Du Zhixiang was captured right after I brought her to the Red Origin mysterious world. She even asked me to give you this jade slip. I was going to send someone to deliver it to you, but I didn't expect you to kill your way to the Red Origin mysterious world. That person, even you, the #1 genius of the Eastern Profound Divine Region, can't afford to offend him. Du Zhixiang was actually taken away? Su Fong wasn't surprised at all. He grabbed the jade slip. His magic power seeped into the jade slip, and a faint aura was released from it. Then, the jade slip slowly melted and turned into the figure of a woman. Yi Fian. Unexpectedly, he had never imagined that the one who had captured Du Zhixiang would be the young miss of the Central Profound Divine Region's Yi clan, Yi Fian. Yi Fian's figure let out a complacent sneer. Su Fong, I've said that you're mine. No one can take you away from me. How dare that woman steal my man? She's courting death. That woman is a great beauty. I heard from her that you've agreed to help her. It looks like you've taken a liking to her beauty. I've taken her away. If you have the guts, come find me at Stalwart Star City. I'll wait for you here for 5,000 years. I won't wait for you after that. Yi Fian burst into laughter and disappeared without a trace. Yi Fian. Su Fong's brows furrowed. He didn't know when Yi Fian had returned to the Eastern Profound Divine Region. Perhaps she hadn't even left Dongxian. Now that she had captured Du Zhixiang, it was obvious that she wanted to lure Su Fong over. With Yi Fian's arrogance and domineering personality, who knew what kind of trap she would set for Su Fong? Looking at Su Fong's expression, Venerable Qi Yuan sneered mockingly. Su Fong, do you dare to bully this reputed one and go against the Central Profound Yi clan? Venerable Qi Yuan had obviously suffered a great loss at Yi Fian's hands and had his concubine snatched away. No wonder he was so irritable earlier. Now, he was deliberately provoking Su Fong with his words. He wanted Su Fong to clash with Yi Fian. No matter which side won, he could still vent his anger. If you haven't gone to Square Sky City to apologize when I return to Wudao City, there's no need for your Qi Yuan sect to exist in the Eastern Profound Divine Region, Su Fong said coldly. He then ignored Venerable Qi Yuan and flew towards Gu Tianqi and the others. Gu Qianqi said, Su Feng, you can't go to Stalwart Star City this time. Su Feng asked why. It turned out that the various divine regions of the Jiuquan divine region were separated by endless plains of chaos. This place was known as the desolate sea of the inner realm. There were countless natural barriers within it, and countless foreign tribes lived there. Pansong Universe was actually the desolate sea of the inner realm between Shixian and Beixian. It was located in the chaotic void that was closer to the western profound divine region. Not only ordinary cultivators, even the peerless experts who had surpassed the Tao Lord level would find it difficult to cross the desolate sea of the inner realm and enter from one divine region to another. Therefore, the experts of the 9 divine regions had opened the interrealm mystic gates with their supreme powers to connect the 9 divine regions. Stalwart Star City was the interrealm mystic gate that connected the eastern profound divine region and the other divine regions. The mystic gates that connected the Blood Valley to the other divine regions were only temporary spatial passages that the experts of the 9 divine regions had jointly opened for the sake of Jiuquan's chosen one. If other cultivators wanted to go to the other divine regions or enter Dongxian from the other divine regions, they would have to go through Stalwart Star City. Dong Xianichen said, Stalwart Star City is the transit point for Dongxian to go to the other divine regions. The forces of the other divine regions have infiltrated Stalwart Star City. The Middle Xianyi clan is no exception. Now that Yifian is luring you to Stalwart Star City, she must be up to something. The finals of the Jiuquan are just around the corner. You can't take the risk for a girl. There were still some things that Dong Xianichen did not say. The Middle Xianyi clan was one of the 5 divine clans of the Middle Xian divine region. Its power was beyond Su Feng's imagination. Dong Xianichen was afraid that the grudge between Su Feng and the Yi clan would escalate to the point of no return. By then, no matter how much of a genius Su Feng was, it would be difficult for him to go against the Yi clan. He would eventually be crushed into dust by the Yi clan. It's all right, I know what I'm doing. Su Feng understood Dong Xianichen's meaning and nodded. After a moment's thought, Su Feng made a decision in his heart. He must go to Stalwart Star City today, not only to save Du Zhixiang, but also to settle things with Yifian. Then, he said to Gu Tianqi and the others, I plan to take my Dao companion to the Feng clan to settle some old grudges. You guys should go back to Wudao City first. He did not want Gu Tianqi and the others to offend the Yi clan with him. Gu Tianqi and the others were smart enough to see through Su Feng's intention. Gu Tianqi laughed loudly and said, Su Feng, you're underestimating me too much. How can I, Gu Tianqi, allow you to take the risk alone? Shu Chongxiao also laughed. When we came here, we came with your flying Xian Bao. If we go back through the Xian Gate, not only will it be a waste of time, it will also consume our money. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. It's better to go with you. After all, you're a rich man. This time, we'll eat you up. Su Feng, if you look down on me, Dong Xianichen, then I'll take Xiaochan and leave immediately. Dong Xianichen said with certainty, Since we're friends, then I won't say anything more. Su Feng nodded and said with a warm feeling in his heart. At this moment, more than a dozen figures flew toward Qi Yuan's imperial city. They were all women, and, judging from their auras, they were all from the same sect. The women arrived in the sky above Imperial City, and a leading middle-aged woman in palace attire bowed to Venerable Qi Yuan. Greetings, Venerable Qi Yuan. Humph, mysterious Lady Palace Master, you still have the face to see me? Venerable Qi Yuan let out a cold snort and waved his sleeve, rolling out a divine aura. The leading woman in palace attire spat out a mouthful of blood from the shock, and the other women were also shaken back, their beautiful faces pale. Venerable Qi Yuan glared fiercely at Su Feng. Then his figure flashed and entered Imperial City. It turned out that these women were from Du Zhixiang's sect, Mysterious Lady Palace. Mysterious Lady Palace gave Du Zhixiang to Venerable Qi Yuan as a concubine to curry favor with him. But they didn't expect that Du Zhixiang would be taken away by Yifian. Originally, The mystic Lady Palace Mistress had brought her people here with the intention of offering another beautiful woman to Venerable Red Origin, so as to get closer to him. Little did they know, Venerable Qi Yuan suffered a great loss at the hands of Su Fong just now, so he was full of resentment and had nowhere to vent. How could he be nice to Mysterious Lady Palace? The people of Mysterious Lady Palace were confused and didn't understand why Venerable Qi Yuan was so angry. Su Fong. Palace Master, that's Su Fong. A female cultivator of Mysterious Lady Palace recognized Su Fong at a glance and immediately let out a cry of surprise. Mysterious Lady Palace Master and the others looked over and were surprised and delighted. Du Zhixiang once confessed to Su Fong in public, and Du Zhixiang was caught by Venerable Qi Yuan and brought to Qi Yuan's mysterious world. Now Su Fong is here. Could it be that he is really interested in Du Zhixiang? In Square Sky City, Du Zhixiang said that Su Fong had promised to take her as a concubine. It seems that Du Zhixiang wasn't lying. If she can become Su Fong's concubine, she will be more than 10 times stronger than Venerable Qi Yuan. Mysterious Lady Palace will definitely rise because of this. Mystic Lady Palace Master communicated with the other disciples. They all regretted their decision and flew towards Su Fong and the others without hesitation. Young Master Su Fong, please wait. Su Fong took out Fuyao Grotto Heaven and was about to leave when he was stopped by Mysterious Lady Palace Master. Su Fong asked indifferently, "What's the matter?" "I'm the master of Mysterious Lady Palace, and also Du Zhixiang's master." Mysterious Lady Palace Master said to Su Fong with a smile. "I know what you want to say. Say no more." Su Fong said coldly, as if he was unapproachable. Mysterious Lady Palace Master's smile did not change. "Young Master Su Fong, please listen to my explanation." Su Fong's sharp eyes swept over the Palace Master of the Mystic Maiden Palace. He said coldly, "I agreed to help Du Zhixiang not because of her appearance. It has nothing to do with the Mystic Maiden Palace, and I don't want to have anything to do with it." Mysterious Lady Palace Master's expression suddenly became stiff. Dongxian Chan snorted. Mysterious Lady Palace, in order to climb up the strong, sacrifice your disciples. How can such a shameless sect be worthy of being related to Brother Su Fong? If you don't know when to stop and annoy Brother Su Fong, Mysterious Lady Palace will be in serious trouble. Gu Qianxi, Shu Chong Xiao, and Dong Xinichen also looked at the people of Mysterious Lady Palace with disdain. What's the point of talking to such people? Let's go, Su Fong said lightly. He immediately activated Fuyao Grotto Heaven and entered the cave residence. Xian Bao turned into a giant Kuanpeng and escaped into the void. Chapter 2941. Fuyao Cave Abode traveled through the endless void and arrived at Stalwart Star City after about 200 years. When passing through the barrier, Su Fong and the rest paid a large sum of divine stones to the cultivators guarding the barrier before they could enter. Stalwart Star City belonged to the Eastern Profound Divine Domain and was under the jurisdiction of the Heavenly Pavilion, but it was actually controlled by countless forces. Some were from the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, while others were from other divine domains. The Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion controlled the interdomain profound gates that connected to other divine domains, which was equivalent to controlling the entire Stalwart Star City. However, they did not interfere with the affairs of the city. Stalwart Star City looked like a city, but it was surrounded by a vast territory. Within Stalwart Star City, the huge city was surrounded by mountains and was controlled by various major cultivation forces. As for the Yi Clan, they also occupied a mountain outside Stalwart Star City called Green Willow Mountain. It was considered a branch of the Yi Clan in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. In fact, Su Fong's trip to Stalwart Star City was a risky one. Going to Green Willow Mountain to save someone was like delivering a gift to his doorstep. Moreover, it was for a woman he did not have a close relationship with. However, Su Fong still decided to come. This was Su Fong, a man of his word. If he did not fulfill his promise to someone, it would be against his Tao heart. Su Fong's goal in cultivation was to have a clear Tao heart and a free and unfettered heart. He would never allow anything to leave a shadow in his Tao heart. Moreover, Yi Fian was too domineering. She used Du Zhixiang to threaten Su Fang. If he did not teach her a lesson, she would become even more unscrupulous. This time it was Du Zhixiang. Next time, it could be Xuan Xin or Goddess Luo. Therefore, Su Fang's trip to Stalwart Star City was imperative. Su Fang, Gu Qianqi, and the rest flew slowly above Stalwart Star City. What they saw was a bustling scene. The city was bustling with people, and there were all kinds of xianbao flying in the air. There were also cultivators on swords coming and going. Su Fang had never seen such a bustling cultivation civilization in the divine domain before. He felt like a country bumpkin entering a city. Everything was new. It was also the first time Goddess Luo had seen such a scene. She was chattering nonstop like a little girl. She was unusually excited. A dazzling beast carriage sped over as fast as lightning. To be able to fly so unbridled in the skies above Stalwart Star City, the owner of the beast carriage clearly had an extraordinary status. Seeing that it was about to crash into Su Fang and the others, the beast carriage didn't seem to have any intention of changing its direction and continued to charge forward. Shu Chongxiao raised his eyebrows. "You're courting death. Forget it." Su Fang pulled Holy Maiden Luo and retreated dozens of miles away. He had matters to attend to in Stalwart Star City and didn't want to cause any more trouble. Gu Qianqi and the others followed Su Fang's lead. Seeing that he didn't want to cause trouble, they all stepped aside. The beast carriage sped past them not far away. Who knew, after the beast carriage had flown far away, it suddenly turned around and headed straight for Su Fang. Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed as anger appeared in his eyes. He pulled Goddess Luo behind him. It turned out that from the beast carriage, a sensing force was brazenly sensing Goddess Luo's body. This made Su Fang very unhappy. A middle-aged man in a brocade robe flew out of the beast carriage with more than a dozen cultivators behind him. That middle-aged man looked like he came from a powerful faction. He had an extraordinary aura and a domineering air about him. His gaze swept past Su Fang and the others, and he even deliberately sized up Holy Maiden Luo. Then, the middle-aged man looked down at Su Fang in a lofty manner. "Friend, I want to make a deal with you. How about it?" Su Fang, Gu Tianqi, and the others all frowned. They felt that this person was a little strange. Su Fang rejected him bluntly. "You and I don't know each other. Furthermore, I have no interest in making a deal with a stranger. Sorry. How dare you? Ignorant brat. How dare you be so rude to Chief Hu?" The cultivators behind the middle-aged man all shouted angrily. The middle-aged man waved his hand and looked at Su Fang. "Listen to what I have to say first. It's not too late to refuse after." The middle-aged man pointed at Holy Maiden Luo, who poked her head out from behind Su Fang and looked around. He said with a smile, "That little girl is really cute and pretty. Is she your daughter or sister?" Without waiting for Su Fang to speak, the middle-aged man said with a smile, "I'm willing to pay a sum of wealth that you can't imagine. Let her enjoy the glory and wealth that ordinary people dream of. Such a deal is something that everyone dreams of." Dong Xianchan let out a cold shout. "Are you sick?" Su Fang's eyes were like ice as he spat out a word. "Scram! How dare you?" A cultivator behind the middle-aged man released a powerful will, forming a majestic pressure that crushed towards Su Fang. This person's strength was extremely extraordinary. He was a Tao profound realm expert that surpassed a Tao master. Break! A streak of sword will shot out from Shu Chongxiao's body. Shu Chongxiao was also a peerless genius who ranked in the top 10 of Jiu Xuan's chosen Dongxian finals. He was also a sword cultivator and had also obtained Dongxian Daozu's will seed. This streak of sword will not only contained his powerful sword will, but also the power of Dongxian Daozu's will seed. It tore the cultivator's will into pieces in an instant. The middle-aged man in embroidered clothes looked surprised. He then smiled lightly. "So it's Dongxuan's amazing genius. I almost misjudged you. This is just as well. I don't have to waste my breath." After that, he looked at Su Fang and revealed a domineering smile. This seat comes from the central profound divine realm and is a subordinate of young master Hu Yufei. Young master who likes beautiful and intelligent little girls the most. How much is the girl next to you worth? Name a price. Hu Yufei? Never heard of him. Even if he had heard of him, Su Fong would not be afraid if he dared to have designs on Holy Maiden Luo. Swoosh! Su Fong released a dazzling saber light and slashed at the beast carriage beside the middle-aged man. Domineering and absolute. Unstoppable. The dazzling beast carriage was cut in half by Su Fong's saber light. It was killed on the spot, along with the strange beast pulling the carriage. Say another word, and you'll be the one killed. Su Fong's sharp gaze swept over the middle-aged man before he left with Gu Tianqi and the rest. Arrogant, too arrogant. There are actually arrogant people who don't give young master Hu face in Stalwart Star City. The middle-aged man sneered. The Tao profound expert who had attacked earlier said, Butler Hu, why don't you kill those people and snatch the girl? Those kids have extraordinary abilities, and it looks like their background is quite extraordinary as well. Let's figure out their background first. Young master Hu is not in Stalwart Star City, so don't act rashly. If things don't go well, you'll be punished by the young master. It's not like you don't know young master Hu's temper. Su Fong kept Holy Maiden Luo in Fuyao Cave Abode, not because he was afraid of young master Hu, but because he was afraid it would affect Holy Maiden Luo's mood. When they arrived at the central district of Stalwart Star City, there was a powerful restriction in the air. They could only fly around it. From midair, they could see a floating object about 1,000 feet in size in the middle of the city. Two cultivators were fighting on top of it. No one knew what kind of deep hatred the two had. Both of them were fighting with all their might. In the end, one of them was killed on the spot. Even his Dharma body and primordial spirit could not escape. The other was also in a severely injured state. Dong Shinichen said, That's the famous Stalwart Star platform in Stalwart Star City. Stalwart Star platform? What kind of place was that? After Gu Tianqi's explanation, Su Fong finally understood. As it turned out, because there were many factions in Stalwart Star City, and they came from the 9 divine regions, conflicts between the various factions were inevitable. As for the Stalwart Star platform, it was a place to settle grudges between cultivators. No matter which faction a cultivator came from, as long as they stepped onto the Stalwart Star platform, there would only be death. There was no status. Furthermore, the various factions had agreed, and the Eastern Profound Heavenly Pavilion also acknowledged that all grudges could be settled on the Stalwart Star platform. Killing on the Stalwart Star platform did not require any punishment. The strong were respected. This was vividly demonstrated by the Stalwart Star platform. The Stalwart Star platform is a good place. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly and no longer paid attention. Soon, they arrived at a mountain peak outside Stalwart Star City. The mountain peak was tall and majestic. Willow trees grew on it, giving it a green and lustrous appearance. This was the Green Willow Mountain occupied by the Yi clan. They arrived in midair above the Green Willow Mountain. Before Su Fong could speak, a cold shout came from the Green Willow Mountain. Who goes there? How dare you not know the rules and fly above the Green Willow Mountain? Following that, a thought flashed through his mind and turned into a powerful willpower attack that swept towards Su Fong and the others. The Yi clan is still so domineering in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain. Su Fong let out a cold snort. His killing intent soared to the sky and collided with a willpower attack that swept over. Boom, boom, boom. The illusory willpower collided, causing a world-shaking commotion. That willpower attack was shattered, and Su Fong's killing intent took the opportunity to kill its way into the Green Willow Mountain and landed on the person who attacked. A miserable shriek sounded. Su Fong looked at the Green Willow Mountain and said indifferently, Yi Fian, come out. Just as he finished speaking, Yi Fian's laughter came from the Green Willow Mountain. Su Fong, I didn't expect you to really come. Are you reluctant to part with Du Xiang, or do you miss me? Soon, Yi Fian flew over with more than a dozen powerful experts around her. Su Fong's divine light swept over and saw Du Xiang beside Yi Fian. Du Xiang also looked at Su Fong, surprise and gratitude surging in her deep eyes. She never thought that Su Fong would really come to save her. Su Fong let out a cold shout. Yi Fian, the grudge between me and the Yi clan has nothing to do with that woman. Let her go. Yi Fian snorted inexplicably. I worked so hard to capture her from the Red Origin profound world and bring her here. You want me to let her go with just one sentence? Su Fong raised his eyebrows and asked, what do you want? Yi Fian chuckled and sent a palm strike across the air, landing on Du Zhixiang's face. Du Zhixiang staggered, and half of her face was instantly lacerated. She opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Su Fong did not move and said coldly, if you want to use her to threaten me, Su Fong, I advise you to forget about it. Su Fong, am not an idiot. Moreover, my relationship with this woman is not what you think. Why would I be threatened by you? Chapter 2942. Gu Qianqi and the rest were enraged. You can kill her directly, and I will make the Yi clan pay the price. Su Fong said coldly. With a wave of his right hand, the spider was released. With Yi Fian's strength, she naturally couldn't see the spider. However, there was an expert beside her who was even stronger than Venerable Crimson Origin. He sensed the spider's presence and quickly transmitted his voice to Yi Fian. Yi Fian's gaze shifted as she gritted her teeth and said coldly, Su Fong, how dare you use the spider against me? Even if you have Dongxian Daozu's protection, you won't be able to escape the Yi clan's pursuit. Su Fong retorted aggressively. If you dare touch Du Zhixiang again, I will let the spider suck the fortune of all the Yi clan cultivators here. You can try it if you don't believe me. The dozen or so Yi clan cultivators, including the powerful expert, all subconsciously retreated, their eyes revealing fear. There was a moment of silence. Yi Fian suddenly stared at Su Fong and said, actually, I used this girl to lure you to Stalwart Star City for 2 reasons. First, I missed you since we parted at Dallas City. I wanted to see you again before I leave Dongxian. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. What are your intentions? Just tell me directly. There's no need to talk about such nonsense. Yi Fian smiled and said, you really don't understand. Fine, I'll tell you my true intentions. You killed Yi Fei Bai, and even Yi Fei Xuan was chased back to the Yi clan because of you, causing our clan to lose face. Besides, you and Sima Xiao are both ranked first in the Eastern Xian Divine Domain. Many of our clan's geniuses aren't convinced and want to spar with you. That's why I lured you to Stalwart Star City. Spar. Su Fong sneered. Do you think I, Su Fong, am an idiot? Or are you an idiot yourself? Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Yi Fian said, our clan only wants to reclaim some dignity. If you don't even give us this chance, don't blame me for being ruthless. I planted a peach god origin core inside this girl's body. I only need to move my mind, and I can instantly suck her life dry. Pausing for a moment, Yi Fian continued, not just this woman. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the Weaver Spider. If you really dare to activate the Weaver Spider, even if the Yi clan cannot kill you now, they can easily destroy your Square Sky City. Su Fong's heart surged with a strong killing intent. Yi Fian's actions had touched his reverse scale. Since your Yi clan wants to humiliate yourselves, then why don't I, Su Fong, fulfill your wish? Su Fong said indifferently. Gu Qianqi transmitted his primordial spirit to stop him. Su Fong, don't agree. Yi Fian must be plotting something. Su Fong replied, don't worry, this is still the Eastern Profound Divine Domain after all. Yi Fian wouldn't dare to really kill me. Besides, do you think my Su Fong is a weakling that the Yi clan can kill? Gu Qianqi was still worried. You should be careful. Those powerful cultivation forces are all ruthless and ruthless. They eat people up without spitting out the bones. Su Fong nodded. I know what to do. Then he looked at Yi Fian and shouted, tell me, how do you want to exchange pointers? Yi Fian revealed a brilliant smile. The man I like is indeed domineering. The exchange is simple. In order to reassure you, the Yi clan will not bully others. We will exchange pointers on the Leader Star platform. Leader Star platform? He didn't expect Yi Fian to choose the Leader Star platform. Once on the Leader Star platform, life and death would be determined. It was obvious that the Yi clan had planned this carefully. They wanted to kill Su Fong on the Leader Star platform. Yi Fian continued, "If you can walk down the Leader Star platform alive, you win. I will let this girl go, and the Yi clan will never make things difficult for you again. If you lose, then you can only die on the Leader Star platform." Su Fong revealed a domineering smile and flew towards the Leader Star city. Gu Qianxi and the rest did not know what was going on, but they followed Su Fong. Yi Fian sneered, "Su Fong, are you afraid? I can't believe that the title of Dongshuan's #1 genius is undeserved. I can't help but suspect that your title was obtained by cheating in the Eastern Profound Divine Domain." Su Fong paused. "Didn't the Yi clan's genius want to exchange pointers with me on the Leader Star platform?" Yi Fian was stunned. "You want to go to the Leader Star platform?" Su Fong sneered. "Why? Are you afraid?" "Straightforward indeed. I like you more and more." Yi Fian laughed wantonly. Not long after, Su Fong and the rest arrived at the Leader Star city and went straight to the Leader Star platform. On the Leader Star platform, there were two cultivators fighting fiercely. Yi Fian shouted coldly, "Get down, all of you." The two cultivators turned a deaf ear to him and continued to fight to the death. The Yi clan's expert beside, Yi Fian released a surge of will that hit the barrier surrounding the Leader Star platform. The Leader Star platform's defense was amazing. It could defend against all kinds of attacks, including the impact of will. When the Yi clan's experts will hit the barrier trembled violently, and the Xian Guang flickered rapidly. Only then did the two battling cultivators see the Yi clan. They immediately stopped fighting and flew out of the Leader Star platform. A Yi clan youth flew into the Leader Star platform and looked at Su Fong, shouting, "Su Fong, please." Su Fong? Why is this name so familiar? Could he be Dongshuan's top genius, Su Fong? He has come to Leader Star City? Su Fong, it is indeed that Su Fong. Some of the Eastern Xin cultivators near the Leader Star platform recognized Su Fong immediately and exclaimed in surprise. Almost every mystical world had seen the entire process of the Jiushuan Heaven's chosen battle of the top 10 in various ways. Even if they did not see it with their own eyes, the Jade Scroll regarding the battle of the top 10 had spread throughout the Eastern Xian Divine Realm. Other than the foreign cultivators, there were very few Dongxian cultivators who did not recognize Su Fong's face. Su Fong's arrival at the Stalwart Star City was a big deal. While the cultivators were shocked, they quickly took out their rune talismans or released their primordial spirit. Soon, the entire Stalwart Star City was in an uproar. Countless cultivators rushed towards the Stalwart Star platform. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Su Fong slowly flew to the Leader Star platform and passed through the barrier to enter the space within the platform. From the outside, the Leader Star platform was only 1,000 feet in size. In fact, the interior was a folded and compressed space created by powerful spatial powers, allowing the cultivators to unleash their strength with ease. Su Fong scanned the Yi clan youth who had challenged him and realized that this person had the aura of a lower Daolord. To have such a cultivation base at such a young age, he could indeed be considered a genius. However, it was laughable that the Yi clan wanted to use this person to challenge Su Fong. Is the Yi clan plotting something else? Or is this Yi clan youth hiding his strength and has some powerful tricks up his sleeve? Su Fong was alarmed. The young man from the Yi clan sneered and released his 300 thoughts, which quickly turned into peachwood monsters that charged towards Su Fong with bared fangs and claws. Su Fong executed the Sword of Harmonization, releasing strands of consciousness that turned into layers of sword energy that swept out. In less than 10 breaths, the peachwood monsters were killed. Dongshuan's unrivaled genius, you truly live up to your name. I'm impressed. I hope you can continue to be so. The Yi clan youth's gaze was filled with mockery and pride as he passed through the barrier and exited. Was he admitting defeat just like that? Su Fong raised his brows. Just as the Yi clan youth flew out of the Leader Star platform, a muscular and tall silhouette strode over. Su Fong, I heard that you're vainly trying to challenge all the cultivators below Dao Mystic in Leader Star City. I'm not convinced and have come to challenge you. What an arrogant Dongxian prodigy, challenging the entire Stalwart Star City alone? He doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Does he think he can be so arrogant in Leader Star City just because he's Dongxuan's unrivaled genius? He's coming to Leader Star City to die. I was just worried about not being able to find a chance to make a name for myself. As long as I kill Su Fong, I'll be famous and won't have to bear any responsibility for killing someone on the Leader Star platform. When the cultivators around the Leader Star platform heard the youth's words, there was a commotion as they discussed Su Fong. Their gazes towards Su Fong turned hostile. The Yi clan is despicable indeed. Try to incite the cultivators of Leader Star City to fight me by taking turns. Su Fong came to a realization, his eyes cold. This was not an exchange of pointers. It was the Yi clan scheme to lure him into the Leader Star platform and take turns to kill him. Boom, boom, boom. The tall cultivator was like a giant beast, causing the space to tremble violently as he sprinted, setting off an overwhelming pressure as he strode towards Su Fong. Scram! Su Fong bellowed, unleashing the power of his perfect perfection physical body and punching towards the tall cultivator. It felt like he was colliding with a mountain. However, the mountain-like cultivator was sent flying, spitting blood as he landed heavily hundreds of miles away. Su Fong planned to intimidate the cultivator with his strength, so he had mustered all his physical strength to severely injure the cultivator with a single punch. The cultivator glared hatefully at Su Fong before he staggered away from the Leader Star platform. Another silhouette leaped onto the Leader Star platform. It was a youth with a fierce aura, his cultivation base at the pinnacle of Upper Downlord Realm. Su Fong, your title as Dongxuan's #1 is only obtained by cheating. How dare you challenge the cultivators of Leader Star City? I'll smash your head. Let's see how arrogant you can still be. After killing you, I'll become famous in Jiuquan. There were very few cultivators from the Eastern Xian Divine Domain in Leader Star City, most of them from other divine domains. Those who could pass through the Realm Gate to come to Leader Star City were either cultivators from other divine domains' top forces or fugitives who were being hunted by other divine domains and had no choice but to flee. Therefore, there was no lack of formidable experts in Leader Star City. The fact that Su Fong wanted to challenge the entire Leader Star City immediately displeased many cultivators. There were also some ambitious cultivators who planned to step on Su Fong's head to boost their own reputation. This youth was obviously one of them. As soon as the youth finished speaking, he released his will, swiftly transforming it into 1,000 feet large axe that slashed down at Su Fong with an earth-shattering momentum. Chapter 2943. Do you think it's that easy to step on my head and become famous? Su Fong revealed a domineering smile as he released a domineering saber light. Chi! The saber light shattered the giant axe formed by his thoughts and sent it flying. Xian Bao. The saber light continued to wrap around the youth's waist and cut him in half. This saber strike was so domineering that it could destroy everything in its path. The youth screamed as his body was cut in half. However, he didn't die. Blood and chi surged on the youth's upper body and quickly formed a new lower body. However, he had used up too much of his life and chi and was now weak. He no longer had the strength to fight. Su Fong obviously didn't want to kill. Otherwise, the youth would have been killed in one strike. Su Fong, life and death are not allowed on the star platform. I'll remember that you didn't kill me. However, you have to be careful when you come down. A soft-hearted person like you will die on the star platform sooner or later. The youth cupped his fists at Su Fong and then turned to leave the star platform. Such a fight is meaningless. Su Fong didn't want to waste any more time. His figure flashed, and he was about to leave the star platform. Who knew, just as he approached the barrier, a powerful divine aura swept over and forced him back to the star platform. He looked over. The person who attacked was the elder from the Yi clan whom he had met in Wudao City. He had appeared beside Yi Fian and forced Su Fong back to the star platform. Su Fong, since you want to challenge all the cultivators in Star Platform City, how can you give up halfway? Elder Yi said majestically. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More than 100 cultivators rushed out from the surroundings. They were all peerless experts who had surpassed the Downlord level. Some were from the Yi clan, while others were from other factions in Star Platform. They surrounded the Star Platform from all directions. Obviously, this was the Yi clan scheme. Yi clan shameless. Gu Qianqi roared and released his thoughts. He executed the great taboo art and attacked one of the experts. Shu Chongxiao and Dong Xianichen attacked at the same time. A powerful will suddenly descended, isolating the leader Star Platform from the three of them, forming a barrier like a barrier. The attacks of the three of them were instantly nullified. It turned out that Elder Yi had personally made a move. He said imposingly, since Su Fong intends to challenge all the cultivators below Dao Profound in Stalwart Star City, no one else is allowed to interfere. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. It seems like the Yi clan won't stop until Su Fong is dead. Gu Qianqi and the others were extremely anxious. No matter how formidable Su Fong was, how could they withstand the consecutive battles of the cultivators of Stalwart Star City? What's more, the Yi clan had racked their brains this time. How could they not have made thorough preparations to allow Su Fong to escape unscathed? Dong Xianchan suddenly transmitted his thoughts. This is still the Eastern Profound Divine Realm, and the Heavenly Pavilion has experts guarding Stalwart Star City. Why don't you ask them for help? His words immediately woke everyone up from their daze. Gu Qianqi pondered for a moment and said, since the Yi clan dared to make a move in Stalwart Star City, they must have taken precautions against the interference of the Heavenly Pavilion experts. However, we can only seek help from the Heavenly Pavilion experts guarding Stalwart Star City now. Shu Chongxiao, you stay here. Dong Xianichin, Dong Xianchan, and I will go and seek an audience with that Dongxian expert. Gu Qianqi then quickly left the Leader Star Platform with Dong Xianichin and Dong Xianchan. The Yi clan's elder understood their intentions. He sneered disdainfully, but had no intention of stopping them. On the Leader Star Platform, Su Fong's bone-chilling gaze landed on the Yi clan's elder as he spoke in a lofty voice. I ascended the Leader Star Platform with the intention of battling the Yi clan's genius. I didn't expect that the Yi clan genius would not even have the courage to fight with me, Su Fong, but instead instigate the cultivators of Stalwart Star City to kill my Su Fong. I, Su Fong, have finally witnessed the shamelessness of the Middle Mystic Yi clan. I'm impressed. Elder Yi said indifferently. Su Fong, the Middle Mystic Yi clan, how can you slander them so wantonly? It's you who is arrogant and conceited, thinking that you can crush the entire Stalwart Star City just because you've won Dongshuan's #1. Why are you going back on your words now? A young man beside Yi Fian suddenly spoke. If you want to fight with me, Yi Fiku, then it depends on whether you have the qualifications. As long as you show me your strength, I'll give you a chance. Yi Fiku? The crowd around the Leader Star Platform instantly became restless. Su Fong's gaze focused. The young man from the Yi clan was short and skinny. His face was sallow, as if he had yet to recover from a serious illness. However, this person's cultivation base was extraordinary, having reached the peak of the upper Daolord realm. The feeling he gave Su Fong was that this Yi Fiku was even stronger than Yi Feishuan, and was even not weaker than Sima Xiao, another powerful genius from the Yi clan. It looked like this Yi Fiku should be the genius that the Yi clan had specially prepared to kill Su Fong. From the discussions of the surrounding cultivators, Su Fong also understood that Yi Fiku was extraordinary. This person was ranked 17th in the Jioshuan's Heaven's chosen mystic ranking battle that had just ended. This 17th place should not be underestimated. The overall strength of intermediate mystic cultivators far surpassed the other divine realms, and the number of intermediate mystic geniuses was 10 times that of the other divine realms. To be ranked 17th in the middle mystic divine realm, even if it was not as good as the #1 of the other divine realms, it was still better than the other top 10 geniuses of the Eastern mystic divine realm. In addition, in the Jioshuan's Heaven's chosen mystic divine realm, one could not use talisman runes or talisman treasures. However, there were no such restrictions on the Leader Star Platform. It was no wonder that Yi Fiku was so domineering, and the Yi clan looked as if victory was within their grasp. Yi Fian smiled and said, Su Fong, Weren't you very arrogant just now? Challenging the entire Stalwart Star City. How awe-inspiring and domineering is that? Even I was shocked by you. Why are you regretting it now? Unfortunately, there's no use crying over spilled milk. If you kowtow, admit your guilt, and submit to my clan, you'll have everything. Submit to the Yi clan and become their puppet? Su Fong let out a cold laugh. Then, his gaze swept across the Stalwart Star City cultivators, displaying the unparalleled dominance and loftiness of the #1 genius of the Eastern mystic divine realm. He said in a loud voice, "So what if I, Su Fong, challenge the entire Stalwart Star City? I will fight the cultivators of Stalwart Star City on the Leader Star platform." His voice was like rolling thunder, spreading in all directions. Whoosh! A series of shocking cries gathered together like a surging tide. Arrogant, too arrogant. How dare he look down on Stalwart Star City? Kill him, and we'll have fame and everything. Countless Stalwart Star City cultivators were filled with fighting spirit. Yi Fian shouted, "Whoever can suppress Su Fong on the Leader Star platform will be rewarded with a peak supreme grade Xianbao." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. More than a dozen figures rushed toward the Leader Star platform. A middle-aged cultivator was the first to reach the platform. As soon as he stepped onto the Leader Star platform, the surrounding barrier immediately sent the other cultivators flying. The middle-aged cultivator's hair was disheveled, and he exuded a ferocious aura. One look, and one could tell that he was an extremely vicious person who had killed countless people. "Brat, your head will become my supreme reputation and bring me supreme fortune." The middle-aged cultivator grinned, revealing his eerie white teeth. He was like a ferocious beast that suddenly bared its ferocious fangs at Su Fong. As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged cultivator opened his mouth and spat out a white xinguang. It transformed into a bone blade made from the bones of an unknown powerful being and slashed at Su Fong. Wu, the bone blade, exuded an evil aura and emitted a sound that resembled the weeping of a malicious spirit. In an instant, the entire space of the Leader Star platform was filled with ghastly aura as the blade swept towards Su Fong. Blood prison, soul, slashing blade. Su Fong used the will visualization technique. His will of massacre soared into the sky and dispersed the evil aura around him. The blood-colored blade light transformed from the will of massacre, slashed at the middle-aged cultivator. The middle-aged cultivator's body looked unharmed, but his Tao heart and soul were shattered by the blade. After a miserable scream, he fell to the ground, and his body quickly turned into a pool of blood. The powerful attack released by the bone blade was also reduced to nothingness. The bone blade fell to the ground. Su Fong's sharp eyes swept over, and he shouted domineeringly, "Who's next?" There was a moment of silence. Whoosh! A young cultivator in a gray robe flew onto the Leader Star platform. Without saying a word, he waved his hand and released rune talismans. After they exploded, they turned into raging waves of fire that swept towards Su Fong. "Do you think rune talismans can do anything to Su Fong?" Su Fong revealed a look of disdain. He shook his arms, and hundreds of rune talismans were released. Boom, boom, boom. The rune talismans exploded and released streaks of sharp sword chi that intertwined to form a vast sword formation. The sword formation crushed the raging flames and enveloped the gray-robed cultivator, turning him into minced meat in an instant. "If you're not strong enough, don't come up to die." Next, Su Fong looked outside the Leader Star platform. His eyes under his eyebrows flashed with sharp killing intent and domineering luster. Su Fong killed 2 people in a row, but it didn't frighten the ambitious cultivators of Leader Star City. Before he could finish his sentence, another challenger came up to the platform. Next, Su Fong fell into a fierce battle. More and more corpses appeared on the Leader Star platform. Fresh blood filled the air, turning the Leader Star platform into a slaughterhouse. While Su Fong was fighting with the cultivators of Leader Star City, the Yi clan's elders, Yi Fian, Yi Fiku, and other cultivators of the Yi clan were watching the scene coldly. Yi Fian said, "The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Seventh Uncle is indeed powerful. He easily incited all the cultivators of Leader Star City to fight against Su Fong. This saved the Yi clan a lot of effort. Elder Yi smiled faintly. Those who went up now are all small fries. Let Su Fong kill as much as he wants. Let's see how he deals with the powerful cultivators from the other divine regions and the experts from the 5 divine races of Middle Profound Realm. Yi Fian smiled proudly. Su Fong will either die on the Leader Star platform or kill the cultivators from the 5 divine races and offend them all. Even if he doesn't die, he won't be able to escape death when he reaches the finals of Middle Profound Divine Region. Elder Yi shook his head and said, "Actually, I don't plan to kill Su Fong. It's a pity to kill such a peerless genius. Why don't we recruit him into our Yi clan?" Yi Fiku sneered indifferently. "Su Fong is qualified to be our slave. However, he's too arrogant and won't submit to us easily." Chapter 2944. When Su Fong has offended all the people of the major forces and is trapped in a desperate situation with no way to escape, at that time, our clan will appear and he will have no choice but to submit obediently. Yi Fian said proudly, "Seventh Uncle, at that time, Su Fong can be handed over to me." Elder Yi nodded and said, "Su Fong is indeed extraordinary. If he can truly submit to our clan and become your Tao companion, it will be a wonderful thing. If not, you cultivate our clan's supreme cultivation method, the art of wood transference, which can absorb a man's cultivation base to increase your own strength. You can just devour his cultivation base then." Gu Tianqi, Dong Xinichin, and Dong Xinchan came to a mountain peak outside Stalwart Star City. The experts of Dongxian Pavilion, who guarded Stalwart Star City, resided on this mountain peak. They explained their intentions to the cultivator guarding the mountain gate. The cultivator guarding the mountain gate went to report and only returned after the time it took to burn a stick of incense. He was obviously not as courteous as before, his tone cold and distant. "Sir is cultivating in seclusion and is at a critical moment. If you have anything to say, please wait until he comes out of seclusion." Dong Xinichin said angrily, "I am a disciple of Heaven Pavilion. Gu Tianqi is a peerless genius ranked in the top 10 of Dongxian and was summoned by Daozu. How can Sir Heaven Pavilion not meet him?" The cultivator guarding the mountain gate said coldly, "Sir is in seclusion. Could it be that he has abandoned his cultivation just to meet you guys?" Dong Xinichin was helpless. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Which Sir of Heaven Pavilion is guarding Stalwart Star City?" The cultivator guarding the mountain gate answered, "The exalted Golden Peak." "Understood. Gu Tianqi, Xiaochan, let's go." Dong Xinichin turned to leave. Gu Tianqi asked in surprise, "Dong Xinichin, why?" Dong Xinichin said, "The exalted Golden Peak is Dong Xianjun's master. They have an extraordinary relationship and see Dong Xianjun as his son." Gu Tianqi was enlightened. Not only did Su Fong destroy Dong Xianjun's Dharmakaya, but Dong Xianjun did not even make it to the finals of the Jiushuan Heaven's Choice. How could Dong Xianjun's master help Su Fong? Gu Tianqi looked at the cultivator guarding the mountain gate and shouted coldly, "Tell the venerable Golden Peak that if something happens to Su Fong in Stalwart Star City, Lord Daozu will not sit by and do nothing. Advise him not to make a mistake." After that, the 3 of them left in embarrassment. Along the way, Dong Xianchan was extremely anxious. The exalted Golden Peak will definitely not appear to save Brother Su Fong. Now, Brother Su Fong is in danger. What should we do? Gu Tianqi was also at his wit's end. He forced a smile and said, "Su Fong is the #1 genius of the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, the Jiushuan Heaven's Chosen. The Yi clan wouldn't dare to go overboard. At most, they would just humiliate Su Fong a little." On the Stalwart Star platform, Su Fong used his Blood Fiend Dharmakaya to kill a peak Tao Lord from the Central Profound Divine Domain. He could no longer remember if this was the 20th or so person. Who's next? Su Fong's face was filled with exhaustion, but his eyes were still bright, sharp, and domineering. Whoosh, a middle-aged man flew through the air and landed on the Stalwart Star platform. Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed, and a serious expression appeared in his eyes. A Dao profound expert. Finally, an expert who had surpassed the Dao Lord level had ascended the platform. The middle-aged man shouted coldly, "This seat hates so-called geniuses like you the most. You think you can rely on your little bit of talent and luck to gain a little fame, but you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. This seat wants you to know that geniuses only have the potential to become experts, but they are not true experts. You stepped onto the stalwart star platform for fame and fortune, but you speak with such conviction." Su Fong smiled coldly. "Kid Dai." The middle-aged man released a thought, and a powerful will and the aura of the water grand Dao instantly transformed into a world that shackled Su Fong within it. In an instant, Su Fong was within a surging ocean, and the tempestuous waves swept towards him without end. The middle-aged man's strength was extraordinary, and he transformed into a powerful enemy that shackled a world with a single thought. "My lord's 10-direction seal." Su Fong stopped hiding his strength when facing such a powerful enemy, and he directly executed the My Lord's 10-direction seal. A might that dominated the world, the past, and the future erupted with a bang, and everywhere it swept out, the surging ocean instantly stopped before shattering layer by layer. In an instant, the My Lord's 10-direction seal replaced the world that the middle-aged man had executed, and it sealed the middle-aged man within it instead. That Tao profound expert was ceaselessly resisting the shackles of the divine might of the 10-direction seal, and he had no time to attack Su Fong. Su Fong's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside the middle-aged man, and he punched out with his blood-fiend Dharmakaya. Boom! Under the impact of the powerful murderous aura and will, the middle-aged man's Tao heart shattered instantly, and a huge hole was punched in his chest by Su Fong's punch. He died on the spot, and only 2 Dharmakayas escaped from the stalwart star platform. Su Fong had also expended a great deal of energy from the consecutive fierce battles. He staggered, and his face turned pale, and his aura seemed to have withered as well. Su Fong's strength is actually so shocking, to easily cross realms and kill a Dao profound expert, being able to seize Dongxuan's #1. He does not have an undeserved reputation indeed. Another Dao profound realm expert was killed, and the Stalwart Star City cultivators around the Stalwart Star platform sucked in a cold breath. For a moment, no one went up the Stalwart Star platform. The Yi family's elder's indifferent voice rang out. "He's already an arrow at the end of its flight. Now is a rare opportunity." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 5 to 6 cultivators rushed towards the Stalwart Star platform, and they were all Dao profound realm cultivators. Su Fong is this reputed one's. Who dares to snatch him from this reputed one? A burly man with silver hair like steel needles let out a thunderous roar, like a clap of thunder, and forced the other cultivators to retreat while he stepped onto the Stalwart Star platform. After this silver-haired man stepped onto the Stalwart Star platform, he did not attack Su Fong. He did not even look at Su Fong and shouted at the Yi family's elder, "Elder Yi, this reputed one does not need the supreme grade pinnacle Xianbao. If this reputed one kills Su Fong, I only need 10,000 peach soul pills from the Yi family, and I will be satisfied." The Yi family's elder nodded and said, "Sure." The silver-haired man was surprised and delighted. "Thank you. With the Yi family's peach soul pills, this reputed one can quickly break through the pinnacle of upper Dao, profound realm, and ascend to the middle level." Who knew? Without waiting for him to finish speaking, a buzzing sound came, and immediately after, he felt his origin soul tremble. It turned out that Su Fong had activated that wasp wing Xianbao and launched a soul attack at the silver-haired man. At the same time, his figure flashed out like a stone fire and instantly came close to the silver-haired man. The silver-haired man turned pale with fright and forcefully endured the intense pain in his soul. A layer of silver Xian Guang bloomed on his body, forming a defense that tightly protected his body. Su Fong's palms separated, and a black poisonous blood surged out like a tide, instantly enveloping that man. Sizzle, the poisonous blood crazily corroded the man's defense, and soon, the silver light dissipated, the defense shattered, and the poisonous blood instantly enveloped him. The man's physical defense was quickly corroded, followed by his skin, flesh, and blood. Although the man was frantically resisting, his origin soul was injured, and with Gui's poison, it was not something he could contend against. In addition, Su Fong was constantly using soul attacks on him. How could he escape? After half an incense stick's time, only the man's bones were left, rolling and floating in the blood water. In the end, even the bones were completely corroded, leaving not a single bone residue. With a splash, the blood water was sucked into Su Fong's internal space. Su Fong did not seem to use much strength, and easily killed a Dao profound expert, which once again shocked and surprised the cultivators of Stalwart Star City. Su Fong's cold gaze swept across the cultivators around the Stalwart Star platform. Who else? Su Fong. How can you be so rampant in Stalwart Star City? Middle mysterious Meng clan's Meng Yuan is here to kill you. A young man in a yellow robe took a step forward and landed on the Stalwart Star platform with a loud boom. It was as if a mountain was moving. The Meng clan from Zhongshuan has also made their move. Let's see how Su Fong will survive this. Yi Fian smiled proudly. Yi Fiku said indifferently, "This Meng Yuan may not be considered an expert of the Meng clan, but his strength is extraordinary. His cultivation has reached the middle Dao profound realm, and his cultivation method is unique. He is not afraid of poison, and his defense is also incomparably strong. Looks like Su Fong has no choice but to use his strongest trump card." Meng clan from Zhongshuan? Su Fong's brows furrowed. The Meng clan from Zhongshuan was also one of the 5 divine cultivation clans in Zhongshuan, and the Meng clan's overall strength was above the Yi clan. Meng Yuan shouted domineeringly, "Su Fong, there's only life and death on the Stalwart Star platform, regardless of identity. If I kill you, the Zhongshuan heaven will not punish me, and even the heaven pavilion can't do anything to me. I advise you to kowtow and beg for mercy. At most, I will smash your head and leave you with a Dharma body." Su Fong said in a cold and embarrassed voice, "Since you know the rules, then you should also know that the Meng clan won't stand up for you if I kill you. Killing you is pointless. If you get out of the Stalwart Star platform now, I won't kill you." Reckless fanatic, Meng Yuan roared and stomped his right foot on the Stalwart Star platform's void. Rumble. As Meng Yuan's will and thoughts exploded, a vast expanse of land quickly extended from under his feet. Then, Meng Yuan's mind moved, and a majestic and heavy earth elemental divine power erupted from the ground, trying to shackle Su Fong. Su Fong used the blood prison soul slaying blade, and then released a domineering blade light. Mountain rise. Meng Yuan sneered disdainfully. Mountains rose from the ground in front of him, wearing down the blood prison, soul, slaying blade, and the blade light. "Su Fong, my clan has mastered the earth elemental Great Dao's supreme superpower, and no one in the Zhongshuan God realm can match our defensive power. All of your superpower, including your poison, are useless against me." Meng Yuan was very proud. "Is that so?" Su Fong snorted. He shook his arms and turned them into blood-red vines that drilled into the ground below him. Chi, 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 chi. The ground was penetrated by the blood-red vines, layer by layer, and then the vines pierced through the mountains and swept toward Meng Yuan. Thick earth armor. Meng Yuan's spirit light changed as he activated the armor to protect his body. Chapter 2945. Time ticked by. Meng Yuan was indeed from the middle profound Meng clan. The defensive ability of his mystic armor was indeed shocking. Even a super powerful elder like Executioner Grandma would not be able to break through his defense. However, the sky-piercing Blood King Vine was known to be able to pierce through heaven and earth. Its penetrative ability was invincible. In the end, it still penetrated Meng Yuan's mystic armor and drilled into his body. It started to devour his blood, qi, and energy. "Su Fong, you win. I admit defeat." Meng Yuan started to panic and begged Su Fong for mercy. Su Fong revealed a cruel smile. This is the Chieftain Star stage. Once you're on the Chieftain Star stage, it is not a spar. It is a battle of life and death. You came on the stage to kill me, Su Fong. Now that you have lost, you want to leave? Isn't it ridiculous? Under the crazy devouring of the sky-piercing Blood King Vine, Meng Yuan's blood, qi, and energy were drained rapidly. No matter how he resisted, he could not break free. Meng Yuan shouted furiously, Su Fong, I am a disciple of the Meng clan. If you kill me, the Meng clan will not let you go. You said it just now. It is the truth. On the Chieftain Star stage, there is only life and death. There is no status. Su Fong continued to activate the sky-piercing Blood King Vine. Meng Yuan's aura was withering at an alarming speed. His entire body was drying up. Su Fong's originally withering aura quickly became vast and majestic. This scene shocked all the cultivators outside the Chieftain Star stage. They felt a chill from the bottom of their hearts. That is the sky-piercing Blood King Vine, the top life form of the foreign race. Su Fong has the sky-piercing Blood King Vine. He can devour a cultivator's cultivation and life force. This also means that he can recover quickly. How can he fight with him? Taking turns to fight Su Fong is useless. Cultivators below the Tao Profound Realm, unless they are exceptional geniuses, are just sending themselves to death. Many cultivators were discussing. They were all scared and retreating. Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and the others saw the situation and heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like Su Fong did not need the exalted Golden Peak to make a move. He could destroy the Yi clan's conspiracy. Half an hour later, Su Fong retrieved the sky-piercing Blood King Rattan. Meng Yuan's body began to crumble rapidly like a weathered stone sculpture. Finally, it turned into ashes and drifted away. Su Fong was once again in high spirits. He pointed outside the stalwart star platform and coldly shouted, "Who's next?" He's too arrogant. He actually killed Meng Yuan in such a ruthless way. He has the right to be arrogant. The title of Dongshuan's unrivaled genius isn't a boast. It's a title that he's earned with his true ability. What happened today was obviously a plot by the Yi clan against Su Fong. It's not worth it to risk your life for the Yi clan. Many of the stalwart Star City cultivators were discussing in secret, but none of them went up the stage. Su Fong looked at Yi Fiku and shouted, "Yi Fiku, do I have the qualifications to challenge you now? Get up here and accept your death." After being schemed against by the Yi clan, Su Fong finally began to fight back. "How can you be so arrogant in front of me?" Yi Fiku sneered and slowly flew towards the stalwart star platform. Looking at Su Fong, Yi Fiku said indifferently, "Su Fong, I've let you be arrogant for so long. It's time to end it. I'll let you know that your so-called Dongshuan's unrivaled genius is but a joke in front of me." Su Fong retorted bluntly, "Meng Yuan, who I killed just now, and the others I killed, all said the same thing at the beginning. It's a pity that I, Su Fong, am still alive and well while they are all dead. Frog in the well, wait until I step on your head. You'll know that I'm not lying. You, the so-called Dongshuan's unrivaled genius, is but a joke, a clown." As Yifiku's cold voice reverberated in the air, a thought was released. His will, arcane energy, and a sense of withering and dying spread out immediately, enveloping Su Fong and the space around him. From the void, a withered tree that was hundreds of feet tall quickly condensed. Its withered branches, like tentacles, crazily waved at Su Fong. Yifiku also cultivated the Tao of wood, but it was the opposite of the normal Tao of wood. The power he used contained the will and power of withering and dying of the wood element, which could corrode life and make it walk towards death quickly. Su Fong let Gue use her ability. Poisonous blood and poisonous fog swept out like a tide. Once it came into contact with the withered branches, it immediately ignited with a poisonous fire, corroding and burning the branches. Su Fong sneered. "Yi Fiku, is this all you've got? Your 17th place in the central mystic divine region was probably obtained by the Yi clan for you, wasn't it? If you want me to use my strongest ability, we'll have to see if you have a right to do so." Yi Fiku said indifferently as a gush of will burst out. At that moment, Su Fang's primordial spirit saw that the surrounding space had turned into a desolate and rotten world. Withered leaves fell from the sky, and a kind of intent realm of withering and dying enveloped the entire world. Su Fang felt that his mind, will, and life force had become weak. He was about to fall into a state of decay and death along with the world around him. Will visualization technique. This genius of the Yi clan is quite extraordinary. He's able to use the will visualization technique at the Downward realm. However, isn't it laughable that he wants to compete with me, Su Fang, with the power of will? Su Fang revealed a domineering smile. Under the blood fiend avatar state, the slaughter intent and the will seed that Dongxian Daozu had given him erupted. Blood-red light filled the air and instantly replaced the world that Yi Fiku had created with the power of will. A blood-red saber light swept up a river of blood, cutting countless withered leaves, and the world formed with the power of will as it charged towards Yi Fiku. Yi Fiku's divine light changed instantly. A shadow separated from his body and turned into a shadow that had the exact same appearance and aura of fate as him. His original body quickly turned into nothingness. Puff! The blood hell, soul-slashing saber, slashed at the shadow. Yi Fiku's shadow was shattered layer by the blood hell, soul-slashing saber. In the end, it turned into a pile of ashes and scattered in the air. Su Fang's eyes narrowed. Using the plum tree as the peach corpse technique. The Yi clan's plum tree as the peach corpse technique could replace the original body to withstand the attacks of powerful enemies. In times of danger, it could be used to save one's life. Su Fang had seen it before. Su Fang, you have the qualifications to make me use my true strength. Yi Fiku no longer looked at Su Fang with the eyes that were filled with contempt from before. He reached out and grabbed a flying sword. This flying sword was very similar to Yi Feibai's peach soul mystic wooden sword. However, this flying sword quality was obviously one level higher. Moreover, it emitted a type of wood elemental aura of death. Chi, a withered yellow sword light, shot towards Su Fang. Su Fang felt the vitality and blood in his body suddenly wither. Even his soul was about to be killed by this sword. My master's 10-direction seal. Su Fang's purple fate body also exploded with a wave of godly aura that enveloped Yi Fiku's flying sword. Wong, wong, wong. The flying sword trembled. Its attack also slowed down. Immediately after, Su Fang released 9 strands of thought. They turned into 9 shadows and formed 9 different hand seals. Then, they merged with the original body and released a domineering godly aura. The godly aura clashed with the sword chi, causing a huge explosion. The sword chi shattered layer by layer. The godly aura of my master's 10-direction seal forcefully and domineeringly trapped Yi Fiku. Wong. A pair of wasp wings popped out from Su Fang's back. They flapped rapidly and emitted a sound that directly impacted one's soul. Immediately after, Su Fang teleported and instantly appeared in front of Yi Fiku. He reached out his right palm, which was surrounded by a strand of primordial chi, and slammed it towards Yi Fiku. Seeing this, the Yi clan's elder hurriedly shouted, "Be careful. That's the chi of the heavenly Tao's origin. Don't touch it." Yi Fiku's godly aura changed. His eyes were filled with fear. A shadow flashed out from his body and broke through the shackles of my master's 10-direction seal. It blocked in front of him. Puff! Su Fang slammed his palm onto the shadow's chest. Who knew the shadow only shook a little? Not only did it not get killed by Su Fang, but it also released a terrifying aura that sent Su Fang flying. The master's 10-direction seal that was trapping Yi Fiku also collapsed. Su Fang's body rolled for hundreds of miles before stabilizing. Then, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The 7 colors Vajra's Tao heart also trembled and almost shattered. Looking over, In front of Ifiku stood a human-shaped wooden sculpture that looked exactly like a normal person. Su Fang's palm that contained primordial qi left a deep imprint on the wooden sculpture's chest. However, it did not affect the wooden sculpture much. This wooden sculpture did not seem to have anything special about it. However, it was able to withstand Su Fang's strongest attack with primordial qi. Moreover, its strength was truly shocking. Just the rebounding force was enough to injure Su Fang. If Su Fang did not have the protection of primordial qi, he would have been heavily injured. Because this wooden sculpture was activated by Yi Fiku, it did not touch the laws of Joshuan. Yi Fiku revealed a proud smile and said in a dark voice, "Su Fang, you can force me to take out my life-saving Peach God Terracotta Soldier. You should be proud of yourself." Peach God Terracotta Soldier? Su Fang stared at the wooden sculpture and felt his heart palpitate. As expected of the Middle Xianyi clan, every disciple had a powerful divine ability. My Peach God Terracotta Soldier is a supreme Xian Bao made from peach god wood. It is like a Dharma body of mine. It can be said to be immortal and can kill realm lords like killing chickens. No matter how heaven-defying you are, you won't be able to resist my Peach God Terracotta Soldier. Su Fang mocked. This should be your trump card, right? Relying on external strength. How can you be considered a genius? In reality, he was secretly controlling the heaven-piercing Blood King Vine to devour Heartbreaker Grandma's life force to recover from his injuries. Yi Fiku snorted. External strength is also a part of one's strength. I have it, but you don't. Therefore, you are destined to lose to me. Su Fang, kneel down and beg for mercy. My clan does not want your life this time. If you continue to be stubborn, the Stalwart Star stage will be your death. Are you so sure that I don't have the means to kill you? Su Fang sneered. You won't cry until you see the coffin. Chapter 2946. Seeing that the Peach God Terracotta Soldier was about to unleash a powerful attack, Su Fang activated his Purple Fate avatar and released the power of controlling the Xianbao. The Peach God Terracotta Soldier's body trembled and its attack slowed down. However, this Peach God Terracotta Soldier was one of Yi Fiku's avatars. It wasn't just a simple Xianbao. The Purple Fate avatar could only affect it, but not control it. With a thought from Yi Fiku, the Peach God Terracotta Soldier immediately broke free from the control of the Purple Fate avatar. Su Fang made use of this brief moment of respite to activate the Wasp Wing Dark Treasure, and his figure flashed into the void and teleported away. When Su Fang reappeared, he was already more than 300 miles away. Yi Fiku shouted coldly, "Kill him!" The Peach God Terracotta Soldier charged towards Su Fang again. However, at this time, Su Fang suddenly took out a rune talisman. After activating it, his body disappeared into thin air. Even his aura disappeared without a trace. One Leaf Vision Concealment Talisman. Yi Fiku was stunned and gritted his teeth. One Leaf Vision Concealment Talisman. This was a powerful talisman unique to the Yi clan. Only the core disciples and above could have it. It could hide one's tracks and aura. In the past, Yi Feibai used One Leaf Vision Concealment Talisman to hide his tracks and aura. Su Fang couldn't sense his fate, aura, even when using the life shrinking technique. Yi Feibai's talisman was used by Su Fang to deal with Yi Fiku. How could Yi Fiku not be angry? How could our Yi clan's talisman fall into Su Fang's hands? It could be seen that Yi Feibai was killed by Su Fang. The Yi clan elder's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Whoosh, Su Fang suddenly appeared behind Yi Fiku. He waved his hand, and a pink xianguang turned into a handkerchief and floated above Yi Fiku's head. The peach blossoms on the handkerchief bloomed together, and pink fog swept out and enveloped Yi Fiku. This time, it was Yi Fian's turn to gnash her teeth. That was my peach cloud miasma. Su Fang, you truly deserve to die. You actually dared to use my Xian Bao to deal with Yi Fiku. Once I suppress you, I'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Yi Feigu was trapped in the pink mist. His body was burning with the fire of desire. He was shocked and quickly used his psyche to control the Peach God Terracotta Soldier to attack Su Fang. At this moment, a mysterious aura from the life-shortening technique, quickly condensed into a saber that slashed at the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier. The Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier's fate connection with Yi-Fiku was severed by this strike. Yi-Fiku's consciousness in the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier was also destroyed. At this moment, the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier had become an ownerless treasure, and it stood there in a daze like a wooden sculpture. If the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier was Yi-Fiku's true avatar, even if Su Fong used the life-shortening technique to sever fate, he wouldn't be able to sever the fate connection between the two. After all, the two were one, so their fate was naturally one as well. However, the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier was in Xian Bao that was fused by Yi-Fiku into an avatar. That was why Su Fong was able to obtain it so easily. After losing the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier, Yi-Fiku's strength had been crippled by more than half. He was no longer a threat. While Yi-Fiku was trapped into Xian Bao's divine aura, Su Fong struck out a dazzling saber light that landed on Yi-Fiku's body. Ah! Yi-Fiku let out a miserable cry as his defense was torn apart by the saber light. His right arm was separated from his body as blood spurted out. Su Fong's figure flashed and pressed his palm against Yi-Fiku's head. He let out a cold laugh filled with disdain. Yi Clan's genius, ranked 17th in the Central Profound Divine Region, is only SOSO. The surroundings of the Leader Star platform instantly turned silent. Everyone's heart was filled with shock. They found it hard to believe that Yi-Fiku was suppressed by Su Fong just like that. Who would have thought that Yi-Fiku, ranked 17th in the Central Profound Divine Region, would be so weak? Yi-Fiku was once the Jiuquan Heaven's chosen in the Central Profound Divine Region. He once used the Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier to defeat strong opponents. How could he be so weak? It's not that Yi-Fiku is weak. It's just that Su Fong has a way to counter Yi-Fiku. The Yi clan has really lost a lot of face this time. They set a trap for Su Fong, but in the end, they shot themselves in the foot. Even Yi-Fiku was suppressed by Su Fong. Let's see how the Yi clan is going to deal with this. While they were shocked, many cultivators were discussing in secret. The cultivators of the Yi clan were also dumbfounded. They never thought that things would turn out like this. The elder of the Yi clan let out a thunderous roar. Why aren't you releasing Yi-Fiku? There were many disciples like Yi Feibai in the Yi clan. It didn't matter if one or two of them died. At most, it would only damage the reputation and dignity of the Yi clan. However, Yi-Fiku was one of the top geniuses of the Yi clan. He was one of the top geniuses in the Central Profound Divine Region. The Yi clan was preparing to nurture him into a powerful expert that could support the entire Yi clan in the future. If Yi-Fiku died on the Leader Star platform, the Yi clan wouldn't be able to accept it. How could the elder of the Yi clan not be worried? Su Fong revealed a cold smile. Elder Yi, don't forget that this is the Leader Star platform. Once on the Leader Star platform, it's either life or death. Furthermore, the Yi clan was planning to kill my Su Fong this time. Yi-Fiku also went on the platform to kill me. Don't you think it's funny that you want me to release him? The elder of the Yi clan's eyes flashed with killing intent. Su Fong, if you dare to kill Yi-Fiku, the Yi clan will not rest until you are dead. Even if I release Yi-Fiku, will the Yi clan let me go? With the despicable nature of the Yi clan, once Yi-Fiku leaves the Leader Star platform, what awaits me will be the Yi clan's crazy revenge, won't it? Su Fong snorted, mocking the elder of the Yi clan. Suddenly, a beam of divine light broke through the air and condensed into the silhouette of a middle-aged man in a golden robe. The venerable Golden Peak. Even the Celestial Pavilion's expert in Stalwart Star City, the venerable Golden Peak, has been alerted. Some Stalwart Star City cultivators exclaimed. The golden-robed middle-aged man looked at Su Fong and said, Su Fong, I order you to release Yi-Fiku immediately. Su Fong knew the identity of the golden-robed middle-aged man from the other cultivators. He said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, Sir is the expert in charge of the Celestial Pavilion. Can you break the rules of Stalwart Star City and interfere with the battle of life and death on the Leader Star platform? The venerable Golden Peak said in a low voice, Su Fong, you think you're Dongxuan's top genius, but you don't even respect me? I'm asking you to release Yi Fiku for your own good, lest you form an irreconcilable grudge with the Yi clan. By then, even if the Celestial Pavilion wants to protect you, they won't be able to save your life. Su Fong asked in return. The Yi clan set a trap in Stalwart Star City to kill me. I wonder where the venerable Golden Peak is. When I was about to kill Yi Fiku, sir, you appeared immediately. Are you from the Yi clan or from the Celestial Pavilion? The venerable Golden Peak was not angry. He said faintly, how do you know that I'm not watching you secretly? If you're in danger of death, I'll still save you. Despicable. Shameless. Gu Tianqi, Dong Xinichen, and Dong Xinchan were all cursing the venerable Golden Peak in their hearts. Of course, they only dared to do so in their hearts. Su Fong nodded and said, since Sir has said so, I'll spare Yi Fika this time. However, the Yi clan has to release Du Zhixiang first. The Yi clan elder snorted, she's just a lowly girl. Why would the Yi clan care about her? Yi Fian, release that girl. Yi Fian had no choice but to release Du Zhixiang's shackles. She even sucked out the Peach God origin core that was planted by Yi Fian and released her. Du Zhixiang fell into the Yi clan's hands. She never thought that she would be able to escape alive. She was pleasantly surprised and excited as she flew towards Gu Tianqi. The venerable Golden Peak said, Su Fong, it's time for you to release her. Su Fong smiled in disdain and let go of Yi Fiku. Yi Fiku couldn't be bothered to heal his broken arm. He sucked the Peach God Terracotta Soldier into his Dao Palace and glared at Su Fong with hatred. Then, he flew out of the Stalwart Star stage without saying a word. Suddenly, Yi Fiku released a godly aura that wrapped around Du Zhixiang. Then, in a flash, he flew towards the Yi clan elder. Gu Tianqi and the others were caught off guard and couldn't save her in time. Yi Fiku, you're courting death. Su Fong never thought that Yi Fiku would be so despicable. He let out a roar filled with killing intent as he flew out of the Stalwart Star stage and charged towards Yi Fiku. Boom! 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 The Yi clan's experts that were guarding the Stalwart Star stage all released their thoughts. However, they didn't target Su Fong. Instead, they formed layers of barriers in front of Su Fong, blocking Su Fong's path. Yi Fiku grabbed Du Zhixiang and flew towards the Yi clan elder. Su Fong, I've killed this lowly woman. What do you do about it? Yi Fiku said with killing intent. He wanted to vent the shame of his failure on Du Zhixiang. Yi Fian suddenly spoke up to stop her. This woman can stay by my side as a maid. It's not bad. Yi Fiku snorted and gave up on the idea of killing Yi Fian. Su Fong could only watch as Du Zhixiang fell back into the Yi clan's hands. He shouted angrily, Exalted Golden Peak, why didn't you stop him? Exalted Golden Peak said indifferently, I only care about what happens inside the Stalwart Star stage. I can't interfere with what happens outside the Stalwart Star stage. Su Fong, Stalwart Star City, is not a place for you to stay for long. Quickly leave the Stalwart Star City. Otherwise, if something happens again, I won't be able to save you. After he finished speaking, a divine light flashed, and the exalted Golden Peak's figure dissipated and disappeared into the void. Gu Tianqi sent a message to Su Fong with his primordial spirit. Su Fong, that exalted Golden Peak is Dongxian Jun's master. Su Fong finally understood, and a sharp aura surged in his heart. Exalted Golden Peak, I, Su Fong, will remember this debt. One day, I will return it tenfold. Su Fong, you're lucky to have defeated me this time. I'll be waiting for you in the Central Profound Divine Domains Finals. At that time, let's see how you're going to defeat me. Yi Fiku gave him a murderous look and turned around to leave. Did I say that today's matter is over? Su Fong's deep eyes flashed with ruthlessness as he said coldly. Chapter 29:47. You are already lucky that I let you live this time. What do you do to me? Why would the Yi clan keep their word when dealing with a low-level existence like you? If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being too stupid and arrogant. You really think you are someone important? Yi Fiku snorted. Su Fong, forget it. Gu Tianqi advised Su Fong. There were many experts in the Yi race. Even though they were afraid of the 9 mystical heavens, they didn't dare to make a move against Su Fong. However, it was impossible for Su Fong to rescue Du Zhixiang from the hands of so many experts. Forget it. Su Fong looked at Yi Fiku with an extremely cold gaze. The mysterious Tao runes of the heavens' secret life shrinking technique surged out from the Jiuquan Tao Palace. The Tao runes quickly condensed into an illusory thread and shot out from the Tao Palace. Life-pulling karma thread. Brat, how dare you? The Yi clan's elder saw through it. His divine light instantly changed as he flashed in front of Yi Fiku. Chi. The illusory thread transcended the restrictions of time and space. It also transcended the layers of barriers. It directly penetrated the Yi clan's elder's defense and body and landed on Yi Fiku's body. It planted the karma of fate into Yi Fiku's fate. Even if it could not control Yi Fiku's fate, as long as it affected his fate slightly, it was enough to make him pay a heavy price. The supreme fate ability that came from the heaven's secret life shrinking technique was so domineering. However, Su Fong also paid a heavy price for it. Previously, he used the life-severing blade and then used the life-pulling karma thread. It caused him to use up close to 1/5 of his lifespan. His aura became weak and his face looked 20 years older. However, this loss was still within the acceptable range. The Yi clan's elder shouted, Su Fong, how dare you use the heaven's secret life shrinking technique to deal with my clan's genius? You are courting death. A Yi clan expert whose strength surpassed the Tao profound realm released his thoughts and turned into a giant palm that was like a withered tree. It slammed down on Su Fong. Rumble. Thunderous sounds came from the void, followed by a flash of lightning. It quickly condensed into an illusory figure who waved his sleeve. Lightning light akin to heavenly tribulation gushed out from all directions, shattering the Yi clan powerhouse's attack. After that, the lightning light instantly enveloped that person. After a wave of rumbling thunder, that powerhouse who surpassed Tao profound realm turned into ashes. Jiuquan's loss. Many of the Yi clan's elites quickly retreated, afraid that they would be affected by the Jiuquan heavenly laws. The figure formed by the lightning immediately dissipated. Everyone looked at Su Fong, their eyes filled with shock and fear. Only then did people realize how shocking the status of the top geniuses of the human race was. They were protected by Jiuquan's heavenly laws, and the price of a true powerhouse's attack was to be obliterated by the heavenly laws. Su Fong looked at Du Zhixiang and nodded. I promised to help you, but now I've harmed you instead. But don't worry, as long as the Yi clan dares to kill you, I will kill Yi Fiku to pay for your life. Su Fong. Du Zhixiang stared at Su Fong, her heart surging with gratitude. She firmly engraved Su Fong's name in her heart. Before the Jiuquan's heaven selection, Du Zhixiang publicly confessed to Su Fong just to make use of Su Fong to resolve the crisis for her. However, Su Fong came to Stalwart Star City just because of a promise and offended the Yi clan. At this moment, Du Zhixiang's heart was filled with gratitude towards Su Fong. The Yi clan's elder carefully inspected Yi Fiku and did not find anything unusual. However, he was very clear about the power of the heaven's secret life shrinking technique and was worried about Yi Fiku. Su Fong, the more arrogant a genius is, the shorter his life will be. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you have the protection of Jiuquan's heavenly laws. The Yi clan's elder stared at Su Fong and said coldly with killing intent in his eyes. Suddenly, the Yi clan's elder was startled and his killing intent disappeared. He shouted coldly to the Yi clan's cultivators, Let's go. Go. Just a moment ago, he was so aggressive and wanted to kill Su Fong. Why did he suddenly change his mind? Although the Yi clan's cultivators did not know what was going on, they still followed the Yi clan's elder and flew towards Green Willow Mountain. Yi clan. Su Fong's eyes flashed with sharpness. This trip to Stalwart Star City, although he did not manage to save Du Zhixiang as he wished, he severely defeated the Yi clan's arrogance. Yi Fian would definitely not dare to act recklessly against the people around Su Fang. Du Zhixiang was in the Yi clan's hands, and Su Fang used the life-pulling karma thread to plant in Yi Fiku's fate. The Yi clan had no choice but to be cautious and not act recklessly. Stalwart Star City was not a place to stay for long. Su Fang, Gu Qianqi, and the others quickly flew out of Stalwart Star City. The Yi clan's elder brought everyone back to Green Willow Mountain. Yi Fiku was confused and asked that Su Fang is protected by the Jiuquan heavenly laws. It's not impossible to kill him. Why did you suddenly change your mind? The Yi clan's elder snorted. It's that exalted Golden Peak. He suddenly sent me a message. Exalted Golden Peak? Yi Fiku was even more surprised. That exalted Golden Peak is also a powerful expert, but it's not to the extent that our clan would be so wary of him, right? Exalted Golden Peak sent a message. He said that Dongxian Daozu personally sent his will and ordered him to protect Su Fang. It's difficult to kill Su Fang in the Eastern Xian Divine region. We can only think of a way after he reaches the intermediate Xian realm. The Yi clan's elders' words shocked Yi Fiku, Yi Fian, and the other cultivators of the Yi clan. After Su Fang and the others flew out of the barrier, Su Fang took out the Fuyao Grotto Heaven. After activating it, he turned into a giant pung. He flapped his wings and created a spatial storm. His giant body flew through the void. Su Fang entered the time and time array and devoured life energy to recover. Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and the others also entered the array. Su Fang took out pills and spirit items for them to cultivate. Heavenly Maiden. Su Fang sent a message to Heavenly Maiden Luo. Brother Su Fang, what's the matter? Heavenly Maiden Luo replied. She didn't know how to improve, so she couldn't cultivate. She could only let herself grow. She had nothing to do in the Fuyao Grotto Heaven these days. Su Fang asked, it's time to go to the Feng clan. Have you thought about how to deal with the Feng clan? I can't remember what happened in the past, so I don't know how to deal with the Feng clan. I hope this trip to the Feng clan can help you recover your memories quickly. As for the Feng clan, if they know what's good for them, we can let them go. That's all we can do. In the void where nebulas and impurities fused, a giant, oval-shaped object floated. The object covered an area of 10,000 miles. There were cities, mountains, and forests everywhere. There were even dojos built on some of the mountain peaks. Although the object wasn't big, it was a small mystic world. At the peak of a mountain, Feng Jinhua looked up at the sky. His eyes were deep and seemed different from the usual Feng Jinhua. Su Fang, you should be coming to the Feng clan soon, right? It's time to completely resolve the grudge between us. Feng Jinhua's eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, Feng Jinhua took out a rune talisman and transmitted it to his primordial spirit. Young Master Dongxian Jun, I wonder when you and Young Master who will be coming to the Feng clan. After a few breaths, Dongxian Jun's voice came from the rune talisman. I spent a lot of effort in Stalwart Star City to get acquainted with Young Master Hu and accompany him to Dongxian. You're so anxious for me and Young Master Hu to go to the Feng clan because you want to rely on Young Master Hu to deal with Su Fang's revenge, right? Isn't this all to deal with Su Fang? Besides, this opportunity is hard to come by. Su Fang will be coming to the Feng clan soon. Is that so? The voice from the rune talisman suddenly turned cold. After a moment of silence, Dongxian Jun's voice came again. Find a way to keep Su Fang in the Feng clan. I will find a way to bring Young Master Hu to the Feng clan. Young Master Dongxian Jun is wise. As long as we provoke Su Fang and Young Master Hu, it's good that you know. Dongxian Jun's voice stopped. Feng Jinhua put away the rune talisman, the corners of his lips curling up into a cold smile. About 100 years later, a Kuanping broke through the air, flapped its wings, and flew into the depths of the void. Another 10 or so days passed. The material where the Feng clan was located was in sight. Su Fang activated Fuyao's cavern abode and flew above the material before stopping in midair. In the material, Countless Feng Clan cultivators and mortals saw Fu Yao's cavern abode in the air and were instantly in a great panic. Su Fong projected his sensing power and swept through the entire material in an instant. Su Fong revealed a look of surprise. There were many experts in the Feng clan. Although they were not considered a first-rate divine cultivation clan in the Jiuquan God realm, their overall strength was not to be underestimated. There was also an expert whose cultivation base had reached the peak of the profound Dao realm. He should be the strongest expert in the Feng clan. With Su Fong's current strength, he naturally would not be afraid of such an expert, nor would he be surprised. What surprised Su Fong was that he actually sensed a breath of life from the oval-shaped material where the Feng clan lived. In other words, the material where the Feng clan lived was actually a living life. He sensed it carefully again. Su Fong then discovered that the Feng clan did not live in a naturally formed material, but a giant black tortoise. The Feng clan actually lives on the back of a giant black tortoise. It's really a little strange. Su Fong clicked his tongue in wonder. The appearance of Fu Yao's cavern abode alarmed the Feng clan's experts. A thought passed through the barrier and turned into the figure of a white-haired old man. It was the expert whose cultivation base had reached the peak of the profound Dao realm, and also the Feng clan's old ancestor. Which expert has graced the Feng clan with your presence? What's the matter? That old man's divine light rolled over Fu Yao's cavern abode, and his heart suddenly jumped. He cupped his fist towards Fu Yao's cavern abode and asked. Su Fong's majestic voice came from the palace on the back of the Kuanping. Su Fong, bringing a Dao companion and a friend, has come to the Feng clan for a visit. Su Fong is here. The entire Feng clan was in an uproar, followed by a wave of panic, as if doomsday had arrived. Su Fong won first place in the Jiuquan Heavens chosen Dongxian finals. The entire Dongxian divine realm was shocked and excited, but to the Feng clan, it meant that a clan extermination disaster was about to arrive. That was because Su Fong had a grudge with the Feng clan. These years, Su Fong became the nightmare of all the Feng clan's people. Whether it was cultivators or mortals, they all lived through it in fear. Chapter 2948. Hearing Su Fong's voice, the figure of the Feng clan's ancestor trembled. He cupped his fists and said, "May I know why young Master Su Fong has come to the Feng clan this time?" Su Fong's indifferent voice was heard. "To accompany my Dao partner to visit an old place and settle a karma." "I understand. Please wait a moment, young Master Su Fong." The Feng clan's ancestor nodded, and his thoughts dissipated instantly. After 5 minutes, no one from the Feng clan appeared. In the palace of Fu Yao cave abode, Shu Chongxiao said with a murderous aura, "The Feng clan treated your Dao partner like that in the past, and they still don't know how to repent. We might as well wipe out their entire clan." Shu Chongxiao was a sword cultivator. Sword cultivators had a strong, murderous aura, and Shu Chongxiao was no exception. Su Fong shook his head. It was still up to Goddess Luo to decide how to deal with the Feng clan. However, with Goddess Luo's current state, it was naturally hard for her to make any decisions. They could only see if they could find a way to let Goddess Luo quickly recover her memories in the Feng clan. Whoosh, the enchantment surrounding the huge black tortoise suddenly disappeared after a violent tremor. The entire black tortoise that the Feng clan lived in was completely exposed under Fu Yao cave abode. Immediately after, hundreds of thousands of Feng clan cultivators flew into the sky and lined up in 2 neat rows. They extended from a sky to a peak in the middle of the black tortoise's back. Dang! 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 The loud and melodious sound of a bell came from the peak, and it rang a total of 81 times. The Feng clan's ancestor led more than 100 higher-ups of the Feng clan, including Feng Han and Feng Jinhua. They flew to the front of Fu Yao cave abode, cupped their fists, and bowed. They said loudly, "The Feng clan welcomes young Master Su Fong and his friends to the Feng clan. We welcome Lady Goddess back to her maiden home." In the palace, Su Fong, who originally thought there would be a fight, was stunned. The others were also surprised. Gu Tianqi smiled and said, The Feng clan is quite tactful. They set up such a big formation to welcome you. One has not hit a smiling person. Now, it's a bit embarrassing for you to fight. In the past, as long as they owed you anything, regardless of whether they were smiling or crying, they will pay you back 10 times. Su Feng revealed a domineering smile. He pulled the nervous lady goddess and walked out of the palace. Gu Qianqi and the rest followed closely behind. Swish! Swish! Su Feng, it really is Su Feng. Gu Qianqi, Shu Chongxiao, 3 of Dongshuan's top 10 geniuses have actually come. Su Feng is truly honored. If the Su Feng is really here for revenge, the Feng clan is finished this time. Countless gazes filled with awe and curiosity gathered on Su Feng. The entire Feng clan was discussing and panicking. Feng Jinhua looked at Su Feng. His eyes seemed to be filled with respect, but in reality, there was a hint of coldness in his eyes. After seeing Goddess Luo, Feng Jinhua's deep eyes flashed with a hint of passion before disappearing without a trace. Feng Han, who was dressed in a golden robe, looked at Su Feng, who had not changed at all. His heart was filled with bitterness. That low-level existence in the Pansong universe has grown to such an amazing extent in such a short period of time. The entire Feng clan had no choice but to bow to him. Thinking of facing Su Feng's revenge, Feng Han shuddered again. Then, Feng Han saw Goddess Luo, who was beside Su Feng. He was first stunned before he exclaimed in surprise, "Yeah." Some of the Feng clan's higher-ups were surprised when they saw Goddess Luo as well. Goddess Luo did not recognize the Feng clan's people, but when she saw Feng Han, she could not help but shudder. Su Feng transmitted his primordial spirit and asked, "Fairy, do you still remember Feng Han?" Goddess Luo replied, "I don't remember, but when I saw him, I couldn't help but feel afraid. I don't know the reason." Su Feng looked at Feng Han and asked sternly, "Feng Han, do you recognize her?" Feng Han answered with a trembling voice, That's the young goddess. Of course, I recognize her." Many of the Feng clan's higher-ups were shocked. They would never have thought that Goddess Luo would return to her young state. Su Feng did not explain anything and said plainly, "This time, I wish to stay in the Feng clan for a period of time. You won't object, right? It's the Feng clan's honor that young Master Su Feng can stay in the Feng clan. Why would we object?" The Feng clan's ancestor originally thought that he would face Su Feng's wrath of thunder. Who knew that Su Feng would make such a request? He could not help but be surprised and immediately agreed without hesitation. The entire Feng clan's higher-ups secretly heaved a sigh of relief. At least Su Feng did not have the intention of denouncing them. The Feng clan's higher-ups welcomed Su Feng to the main hall of the main peak. "Just arrange a guide for me. The rest can leave," Su Feng said to the Feng clan's ancestor. Then he saw Feng Jinhua and said, "Feng Jinhua, right?" Su Feng wanted to find someone he could trust to bring Goddess Luo around the Feng clan and see if she could recover some of her memories. In the past, he planted karma in Feng Jinhua's fate. Although Feng Jinhua knew about it, he could not resolve it. As long as Su Feng was willing, he could control his fate at any time. With him as a guide, he naturally could not be at ease. Feng Jinhua was stunned for a moment and immediately said in surprise, "Thank you, young Master Su Feng. Serve young Master Su Feng well. If anything happens, the clan rules will punish you severely," the Feng clan's ancestor said in a deep voice. Feng Jinhua quickly replied, "Yes." After the Feng clan's higher-ups left, Gu Tianqi and Shu Chongxiao stayed in the Fuyao cave abode to cultivate. Dong Xianchen and Dong Xianchan wandered around the Feng clan, whispering sweet nothings to each other. Su Feng looked at Feng Jinhua and used the life-shrinking technique to sense the life-pulling karma line. Buzz! The life-pulling karma line trembled. Feng Jinhua struggled for a moment. Then, he looked at Su Feng with a respectful gaze. Su Feng said majestically, "Feng Jinhua, as long as you serve me well while I'm in the Feng clan, I'll restore your freedom after I leave the Feng clan." Feng Jinhua said respectfully, "Yes, master." 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Feng Jinhua brought Su Fong and Goddess Luo to the place where Goddess Luo used to live. He also found her cousins who grew up with her, as well as some elders. He asked about the past. While Goddess Luo was conversing with many people of the Feng clan, she vaguely recalled something. However, she was unable to recover her past memories, which made Su Fong rather disappointed. During this period, everyone in the Feng clan was extremely respectful to Su Fong. Even the Feng clan's ancestor came to visit Su Fong every day. The entire Feng clan was in fear and trepidation. They were afraid that if Su Fong was unhappy, he would bring disaster to the Feng clan. On this day, an extremely luxurious carriage appeared in the sky above the Feng clan. The carriage was actually an extremely impressive xianbao. It was dazzling in gold and jade, exuding the aura of wealth and treasure. 18 dragons pulled the carriage. To be able to own such a luxurious flying xianbao, it was enough to show that the person's identity was not ordinary. The entire Feng clan was in an uproar again. The entire clan went to welcome him. The formation was even grander than when they welcomed Su Fong. Another important person from the Feng clan has come. Su Fong's perfect realm extraordinary gaze saw the Feng clan's ancestor, Feng Han, and other higher-ups of the Feng clan respectfully welcoming a young man wearing a golden crown and a yellow robe to the Feng clan. Behind the yellow-robed young man, there were hundreds of followers. There were many powerful experts among them. Among them, there were dozens of young girls. The older ones were 13 or 14 years old, while the younger ones were only 7 or 8 years old. What surprised Su Fong was that Dong Xianjun was also behind the yellow-robed young man, as if he was a small follower. Dong Xianjun failed to be chosen by the heavens in the Jiushuan. He did not want to improve himself, but went around clinging to the rich and powerful. Such a person will not be able to achieve great things. Su Fong snorted at Dong Xianjun and did not pay attention to him anymore. If Dong Xianjun did not know what was good for him and provoked him again, Su Fong did not mind destroying a few more of his Dharmakayas. In the next few days, the Feng clan's attitude towards Su Fong was no longer as respectful as before. The Feng clan's ancestor also did not come to visit every day. On this day, Feng Jinhua came to Su Fong's palace. Master, you must be careful. That Mr. Hu from the Central Profound Divine region has a shocking background. The Feng clan is planning to cling to Mr. Hu. Even Master is not taking him seriously. Mr. Hu from the Central Profound region? Su Fong immediately thought of Steward Hu, whom he met in Stalwart Star City. However, Su Fong did not take it to heart. If Goddess Luo wanted to take revenge on the Feng clan, even the heavens would not be able to stop Su Fong. Master, I just found out about the place where Mistress Mother used to live. Do you want me to bring Mistress to take a look? Goddess Mother. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. Goddess Luo's mother was Celestial Lord Pansong's cultivation partner and Feng Han's biological sister. Naturally, he had to take a look at the place where she used to live. Perhaps Goddess Luo could recover some of her memories. Su Fong nodded and said, "Let's go and take a look." Feng Jinhua brought Su Fong and Goddess Luo to the edge of the Feng clan's residence. What a coincidence! After flying for a short distance, they met Feng Han and some higher-ups of the Feng clan. They were accompanying a middle-aged man as they flew over. That middle-aged man was not unfamiliar to Su Fong. He was Steward Hu, whom he met in Stalwart Star City. This person tried to have designs on Goddess Luo, but Su Fong destroyed the beast carriage with a single slash. That was why he did not continue to pester Su Fong. He did not expect to meet him here. This proved that Su Fong's guess was right. The Mr. Hu Yufei that the middle-aged man mentioned should be the yellow-robed youth that was treated as a distinguished guest by the Feng clan. "It's you?" Steward Hu recognized Su Fong at a glance, and his expression changed slightly. Then he saw Goddess Luo, and his eyes became incomparably hale and hearty. He was like a starving, ferocious beast that suddenly saw delicious food. Steward Hu smiled sinisterly and asked Feng Han, "Feng Han, that little girl is also from the Feng clan?" Feng Han quickly answered, reporting to Steward Hu, "That little girl is also considered a member of the Feng clan." Steward Hu nodded and said, "Bring that girl over and send her to Mr. Hu. This. Feng Han looked like he was in a difficult position. Su Fong looked at Steward Hu indifferently, as if he was looking at a dead person. Steward Hu raised his eyebrows and shouted to a cultivator behind him, "Go, bring that girl over." "Yes, Steward Hu." That cultivator went straight to Su Fong. Su Fong glanced at Feng Han and sneered in his heart. Chapter 29:49. The cultivator stretched out his hand to grab Goddess Luo in the air, wanting to take her away. This person was also an intermediate Downward expert, so his eyesight was naturally not bad. He could sense that Su Fong's aura was extraordinary. No matter where young master who went in the Eastern Xian divine domain, everyone obeyed and fawned on him. When he came to the Feng clan, he was even worshipped like an ancestor. This person was young master Hu's subordinate, so he was naturally arrogant. At this moment, he completely treated Su Fong as heir. "Scram!" Su Fong shouted coldly. His killing intent surged out and turned into a sword energy that slashed out. Su Fong was now a 5-star divine lord of bloody slaughter. He could kill a Downward expert with his blood fury avatar alone. His killing intent was even more shocking. The cultivator's right arm was severed. Blood gushed out like a fountain. The killing intent attacked his Dao heart, causing it to show signs of shattering. How dare the Feng clan hurt young master Hu's subordinate? Manager Hu sneered. Then, his murderous gaze swept over Su Fong as he spoke in a domineering and cold voice. "Destroy your own Dao palace and obediently offer that little girl to young master Hu. Otherwise, your Feng clan can wait to be annihilated." He was only a manager under young master Hu, yet he was so overbearing. Not only did he want Su Fong to destroy his own Dao palace, he even wanted to annihilate the entire Feng clan. "I wonder who young master Hu is that a dog like you dares to be so arrogant." Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. He had heard of young master Hu's name many times, but he did not know young master Hu's identity. Su Fong was not interested to know about such an arrogant and despotic popinjay who relied on the force behind him. "You don't know young master Hu?" Manager Hu looked incredulous, as if Dongshuan's cultivators did not know Dongshin Daozu. Feng Han quickly said, "Young master Hu is from a number 1 divine clan of the 5 divine clans in Middle Xian. Hu people. Young master Hu Yufei is the only son of the Hu people's patriarch." "I see." Su Fong was suddenly enlightened. Unlike the Eastern Profound Divine Realm, the Central Profound Divine Realm was ruled by 5 great god clans. Every god clan had a Daozu expert, so their strength and resources were beyond the imagination of ordinary cultivators. The Hu people were the top divine tribe in Zhongshuan. Their overall ability was naturally the strongest. Young master Hu Yufei was the only son of the clan leader. His status was naturally extraordinary. It was no wonder that Dong Xianjun was fawning over him. The Feng clan treated young master Hu as their lifesaver, and young master Hu's subordinates were so arrogant. However, what was the identity of that young master Hu? What was his relationship with Su Fong? If it was any other matter, Su Fong might have tolerated it. However, Steward Hu actually had designs on Goddess Luo. Su Fong did not care about his background. Even if it was Daozu's son, Su Fong would still kill him. General Manager Hu showed a proud and domineering smile. He shouted at Su Fong, "If you don't want your Feng clan to be exterminated, why don't you do as I say?" Su Fong pulled Goddess Luo and flew towards General Manager Hu. General Manager Hu sneered. "Is it too late to kowtow and beg for mercy now? Destroy your Daoist palace yourself. Make that little girl prettier and send her to me directly. Who knows, I might even give you a chance to live." "Kowtow." Su Fong laughed involuntarily. "I'm here to kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, a saber ray flashed out with an aura that could annihilate everything. It slashed General Manager Hu into 2 halves, and the domineering saber energy shattered his corpse. "Feng Jinhua, let's go," Su Fong said faintly. Under Feng Jinhua's lead, he left calmly. When Su Fong had flown far away, Feng Han and the rest of the Feng clan's higher-ups finally woke up from their endless shock. "Arrogant, too arrogant. You even dared to kill young master Hu's subordinate. Su Fong, I think you are too arrogant." This time, It will be hard for you to not die. Feng Han looked at Su Fang's back. His eyes were filled with coldness and pride. Feng Jinhua brought Su Fang to the sky above a valley at the edge of the black tortoise's back. The valley was desolate. There were no traces of people living here. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and asked, Feng Jinhua, are you sure that Goddess's mother used to live here? Before Feng Jinhua could say anything, Goddess Luo looked at the valley. Her eyes were filled with confusion. Then, she shook her body and flew towards the valley. Su Fang hurriedly followed Goddess Luo and entered the valley. There was a cave in the valley. The entrance was covered with spider webs. No one knew how long it had been since someone came here. Feng Jinhua walked in front. He waved his sleeves and created a gust of wind, sweeping the spider webs and dust away. Goddess Luo came to the entrance of the cave. She suddenly felt as if she was struck by lightning. Her body trembled violently. Then, she left Su Fang and rushed into the depths of the cave. Su Fang followed Goddess Luo into the cave. The cave was very narrow, dark, and damp. Other than a simple stone bed, there was nothing else. Mother! Goddess Luo suddenly knelt on the ground and cried out loud. Su Fang was shocked. He asked, Goddess, have you found your past memories? Goddess Luo cried and said, I remember that when I was young, I came here. The first and only time I saw my mother was here. She was shackled here like a prisoner. Her body was rotting. I was scared. Later, I found out from my adoptive father that she was my mother. Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed, and a trace of coldness seeped out from his eyes. The Feng clan actually treats their own clan members like this? Feng Jinhua suddenly said, Master, I have been secretly investigating the past for you. I know some things about your mother. Oh, tell me quickly. So, Goddess Luo's mother met and fell in love with mystery. Later, Lord Pansong discovered that she had a special physique called the reincarnation wood physique. Lord Pansong wanted to use Goddess Luo's mother's physique to escape the fate of being devoured by the evil god. Therefore, he took his love from his own son. At that time, Pansong the Empyrean strength was extraordinary, and he had built the ancient Blue City in the heaven-forsaken barren region. He was considered a powerful expert, and his cultivation talent was extraordinary. Because of this, the Feng clan agreed to let Goddess Luo's mother and Pansong the Empyrean become Tao companions. Who knew? Later, something happened to Lord Pansong. His heavenly Tao Dharma body was taken over by the evil god. Ever since Goddess Luo's mother gave birth to Goddess Luo, her cultivation gradually disappeared. Naturally, she was neglected in the Feng clan. As for why he was shackled in this cave, Feng Jinhua began to evade. Su Fang said in a low voice, Why? Are you planning to hide something from me? How would I dare? Feng Jinhua quickly knelt down. It's because I only heard rumors. Therefore, I don't dare to tell Master. What do you know? Tell me everything. It turned out that Goddess Luo's mother, who had the reincarnation wood physique, gradually lost her cultivation after giving birth to Goddess Luo. Due to Lord Pansong using the meridian shifting life-changing technique, her appearance became more and more beautiful. She was like a beautiful flower that bloomed before her death. Feng Han was deranged. He actually coveted Goddess Luo's mother's beauty and raped his own sister. Later on, this scandal was found out by the Feng clan's patriarch. In order to prevent this scandal from spreading, he shackled Goddess Luo's mother in this cave until she died miserably. When Goddess Luo saw her mother, it was also when she was about to die. Hearing this, a sharp, murderous aura surged out from Su Fang's body. Mother! Goddess Luo screamed and fainted. Su Fang held Goddess Luo in his arms. He activated a stream of life-yang energy and injected it into Goddess Luo's body. After a while, Goddess Luo slowly woke up. She gritted her teeth and said, Brother Su Fang, I want to kill Feng Han and that Feng clan's patriarch. Su Fang nodded and said, Such a filthy, divine cultivation clan. Even if you didn't say it, I would still destroy them. A cold glint flashed across Feng Jinhua's deep eyes. Next, Su Fang searched the cave, but did not find the remains of Goddess Luo's mother. He could not help but be surprised. Could it be that the Feng clan later on destroyed the corpse? Just as he was about to leave, he caught a glimpse of some words and blood stains on the wall on the right. Su Feng walked forward to take a look. He realized that there were bloodstains on the wall. They had already dried and turned black. There were many divine words written with rocks on the wall. They were left behind by Goddess Luo's mother. The words were filled with despair and hatred. On one side of the wall, there was a line of divine words that was clearly different from the others. It was written with fresh blood and still looked like it was dripping with blood. Vow to destroy the Feng clan. Buzz. Buzz. The aura in the fresh blood actually caused some of the heavenly secret life shrinking techniques Dao runes in Su Feng's Jiuquan Dao Palace to suddenly flash and turn into a very clear figure. Mystery. He never expected that the bloody words on the wall were left behind by Mystery. After parting ways with Mystery at Luan Island, Su Feng had not seen Mystery's whereabouts until now. He never expected to find traces of him here. Su Feng was shocked and stunned. However, after thinking about it, it was not strange at all. Goddess Luo's mother was the woman Mystery loved the most. Mystery returned to the Eastern Xian divine realm, so he would naturally come back to the Feng clan. Seeing his beloved turn into a pile of bones, the anger in Mystery's heart could be imagined. With Mystery's personality, he will definitely think of 1,000 ways to take revenge on the Feng clan. His strength is far from being a match for the experts of the Feng clan. I wonder how he is now. Thinking of this, Su Feng felt nervous. He hurriedly asked Feng Jinhua, "In these years, has anyone come to the Feng clan to take revenge?" Feng Jinhua pondered for a moment before replying. Although the Feng clan has many enemies, there are only a few who have come to seek revenge. All of the people who have come to seek revenge have been thoroughly investigated. There is no such person as Master has mentioned. Su Feng was surprised. Strange. Mystery is not someone who will swallow his anger. Could it be that he knows he is not a match for the Feng clan? So he went to other places and waited for his strength to increase before coming back to take revenge on the Feng clan? Suddenly, a voice filled with killing intent came from the sky above the valley. "The people inside, come out quickly and accept your death." The voice contained an extremely violent intent. It swept through the valley, rushed into the cave, and rolled towards Su Feng, Goddess Luo, and Feng Jinhua. Su Feng's divine light changed slightly. His killing intent exploded and collided with that violent intent, shattering it. That young master, who came quickly. Chapter 2950. Above the valley, more than 20 silhouettes stood in the air. The youth in yellow robes and a golden crown, who was surrounded like a moon surrounded by stars, was Hu Yufei from Zhongshuan Hu people. Dong Xinjun and Feng Han were among them, while the rest were Hu Yufei's experts and the Feng clan's higher-ups. Dong Xinjun's gaze towards Su Feng was filled with schadenfreude and delight, as if he was looking at a person who was about to die. Seeing Su Feng and Feng Jinhua coming out of the valley, Feng Han's eyes flashed with fear before they returned to normal. Hu Yufei glanced at Su Feng disdainfully and said domineeringly, "You're that Su Feng? My subordinate. Old Hu, was it you who killed you?" Su Feng said indifferently, "Your subordinate tried to snatch my cultivation partner. What's wrong with killing him?" Hu Yufei said, "I heard that your Taoist companion is only 12 years old and has a heavenly beauty. Old Hu asked you to give her to me, which is a great fortune for you and your Taoist companion. Countless people are scrambling for her, but you don't know what's good for you and Old Hu. You really deserve to die." Hu Yufei's casual tone was filled with incomparable arrogance and domineeringness. It was as if he could take everything in the 9 profound divine domain as he pleased. If anyone dared to resist, they would be ungrateful and deserve to die. Su Feng had seen too many popinjays like him who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They grew up in luxury, being pampered and protected by the people around them. They thought that they were the center of the world, and anyone who didn't do as they wished would be crushed with the help of the force behind them. Such popinjays were rich, powerful, and willful. Hu Yufei's identity was even more impressive. Compared to the popinjays Su Fong had seen before, he was even more domineering. If he was weak, he would only be bullied and robbed. However, Hu Yufei had met Su Fong this time. He's Dong Xuan's unrivaled genius. He can kill whoever he wants. Why would he care about young Master Hu? Dong Xianjun suddenly spoke up, looking at Su Fong with a smug gaze. Su Fong coldly said, Dong Xianjun, you don't want to be a genius in Heaven Pavilion, but you like to be a dog. First, you were Yi Fei Bai's dog, and now you are the Hu clan's dog. I wonder what your master, Venerable Golden Peak, would think if he knew. Dong Xianjun's face darkened. He gritted his teeth and shouted, Su Fong, if you hadn't destroyed one of my Dharmakayas, how could I have been eliminated at the beginning of the Jiuquan Heaven Selection Finals? You've always been arrogant, but you've kicked an iron plate this time. You may be arrogant in front of the cultivators of the Eastern Profound Divine Domain, but how can you be so arrogant in front of young Master Hu? Hu Yufei sneered in disdain. Dongxuan's top genius? What the hell was that? Jiuquan's Heaven Selection is just some cannon fodder specially selected to go to the foreign tribes and die. You, Dongxuan's top genius, are at most a slightly better cannon fodder. You're nothing in front of this young master. Not only was Hu Yufei domineering, but she was also ignorant and arrogant, even daring to look down on the Jiuquan's Heaven Selection that was jointly organized by Jiuquan's top experts. Feng Han advised, young Master Su Fong, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Why don't you apologize to young Master Hu? Young Master Hu is a magnanimous person. Maybe this matter will be over. This person's thoughts were so despicable. He looked like he was advising Su Fong, but he was actually adding fuel to the fire. Apologize and admit his mistake? Hu Yufei looked arrogant as she shouted at a young man beside her. Zhan Chun, go, chop off his legs first. Make him kneel and talk to this young master. Yes, young Master Hu. The young man appeared behind Hu Yufei in a flash. Su Fong's divine light curled around the young man as his pupils shrank slightly. Expert. This person is a powerful expert. The young man looked to be in his 20s. His long black hair was casually tied up with a straw rope, and his appearance was very ordinary. However, his aura was extremely powerful. Not only was his cultivation base at the pinnacle of Upper Dalord Realm, Su Fong could sense an extremely dangerous feeling from him. He was even scarier than the Yi clan's genius, Yi Fiku. This one is Zhan Chun. The young man cupped his fists at Su Fong, his gaze unusually calm. Since coming to the Eastern Xian Divine Realm with young Master Hu, this one has heard of the name Su Fong like thunder. I didn't expect to be fortunate enough to meet you today. Please take care, Master. Feng Jinhua suddenly sent a message to Su Fong. Be careful, Master. This person is a powerful genius of the Eastern Xian Divine Realm, ranked 12th in the Jiuquan's Heaven Selection. A peerless genius ranked 12th in the Central Xian Divine Realm. Su Fong stared at Zhan Chun and sneered with disdain. Such an extraordinary genius is willing to be the slave of a profligate disciple. You don't deserve to be called a cultivator, and you don't deserve to fight me. Zhan Chun smiled faintly. I, Zhan Chun, was originally a lowly slave. Hu people nurtured me to my current accomplishments, and I'm willing to be young Master Hu's dog. Young Master Hu smiled. Su Fong, you should know by now that so-called geniuses are worthless in my eyes. Isn't the 12th ranked genius of the Central Xian Divine Realm a dog for me as well? If you kneel down right now, follow me, and be an obedient dog, not only will I not kill you, I'll even give you a few bones. Even though Zhan Chun was still smiling, Su Fong could see endless sorrow in his eyes, and he couldn't help but sympathize with him. How difficult was it for a cultivator who was born at the bottom to step foot onto the peak? How many peerless geniuses, even if they were peerless talents, would die prematurely without the support of a powerful force? Zhan Chun was able to go from a lowly slave to a peerless genius ranked 12th in the Central Xian Divine Realm. How heaven-defying was his talent? However, he still couldn't escape the fate of being controlled by Hu people, and becoming the slave of a profligate disciple like young master, who was a sad thing for a genius. Zhanshan looked at Su Fong and shouted, "Su Fong, I've heard about you, and I admire you very much. I will fight you with all my strength to show my respect for you. I hope you can use your full strength, and don't disappoint me. If you want me to use my full strength, we'll have to see if you have the ability to do so." Su Fong revealed a domineering smile. Swoosh! Zhanshan suddenly released a thought, and it turned into a 10-meter-long blade. With a hum, the entire space trembled, forming a spatial shackle that enveloped Su Fong and his surroundings. Spatial Grandao? Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed. Cultivators who cultivated the spatial Grandao were the most difficult to deal with. The three highest profound sects dominated the Eastern Xian divine realm with their heavenly will, spatial Grandao, and time Grandaos. Ripples appeared around the blade as it attacked Su Fong. Su Fong released his domineering blade, and the resplendent blade light collided with the blade. Who knew Su Fong's domineering blade light was greatly weakened by the impact of the spatial shockwave. The blade formed by Zhanshan's thought contained the spatial Grandao, magic power, and will. It was extremely sharp, and it actually shattered Su Fong's blade light. The blade light's power didn't diminish, and it carried a terrifying power that could cut through everything as it charged towards Su Fong. Bee wings popped out from Su Fong's back, and they flapped rapidly, releasing a shocking spiritual force that dissipated the will contained in the blade, and the blade turned into nothingness. However, just as Su Fong was about to teleport away with the ability of the bee wings, the surrounding spatial shockwave formed a powerful shackle, causing the bee wings to lose their ability to teleport. Whoosh! Zhanshan's figure flashed, and he suddenly appeared in front of Su Fong at an unbelievable speed. It was as if space no longer had the ability to restrain him. Dong Xianjun praised loudly. Zhanshan is indeed a peerless genius ranked 12th in the Central Xian Divine Realm. He's truly powerful. Even Su Fong, the so-called top genius of Dongxian, can't withstand his brilliance. Feng Han didn't miss the opportunity to compliment. Zhanshan is indeed powerful, but no matter how powerful he is, he's still a young master who's slave. Hu Yufei was greatly pleased, and he couldn't help bursting into laughter. Su Fong, young master who has asked me to cut off your legs. I'm sorry for the offense. Zhanshan said indifferently. A gray Xian Guang flashed in his eyes like a spinning wheel, slicing through the air, about to cut off Su Fong's legs. Boom! Su Fong exploded with a monstrous, murderous intent, charging directly at Zhanshan. The sound of a blade humming came from Zhanshan's Dao heart, shattering Su Fong's will attack. However, he didn't seem to be in a good state either. He flashed thousands of feet away, his face pale. His Dao heart had obviously been damaged. Clang! Su Fong couldn't dodge in time, and the gray Xian Guang released by Zhanshan landed on Su Fong's right leg. A crimson armor emerged from his body, defending against the gray Xian Guang. A crack appeared on the crimson armor, and blood gushed out, but it quickly healed. Dong Xianjun praised. Su Fong is injured. Zhanshan is impressive indeed. Young master Hu scoffed. Zhanshan, I don't have time to watch the show. I want to see Su Fong kneeling in front of me within half an hour. Yes, young master, Zhanshan replied, then looked at Su Fong. Dongxuan's top genius. You live up to your name indeed. Fine, I won't test you anymore. What's next is my strongest attack. Su Fong, be careful. As Zhanshan nodded, he released 1,000 thoughts in one breath, disappearing into the void. Wong. Space trembled as ripples appeared like water. After that, 9 figures that were identical to Zhanshan quickly condensed into 9 figures that were identical to him. They were not illusions, but clones that looked exactly like Zhanshan. Although there was no breath of life, their ability was not far from Zhanshan's. Kill. A total of 10 Zhanshans, including the original, charged at Su Fong from all directions. This time, Su Fong was fighting with 10 Zhanshans at the same time. Gu Qianqi suddenly spoke from Su Fong's Fuyao cave. Su Fong, you have to be careful. This is the void mirror image art. It can create clones with the same ability as the original with the help of the void. This person can condense 9 mirror clones. His achievement in the Tao of Space is much more impressive than mine. It looks like I have to use part of my ability, but it's not enough for me to use my trump card. Su Fong smiled sheepishly. In terms of true ability, Zhanshan was much more powerful than Yifiku. If Yifiku did not activate the powerful Peach Soul Terracotta Soldier, Zhanshan could completely crush him. Su Fong was so confident because he had a divine ability that specifically countered the Tao of Space. Chapter 29:51. As Su Fong's understanding of my master's 10 erection seal deepened, he realized how extraordinary this mystique was. My master's 10 erection seal was similar to a sovereign's great Tao mystique. However, it was much more powerful than an ordinary sovereign's great Tao mystique. It could control the 8 directions, life and death, the past and the future. It was the nemesis of the great Tao of Space. At the same time, it could counter the great Tao of time and life and death. Boom! As my master's 10 direction seal's power exploded, not only the 8 directions, but even the past and the future were controlled by Su Fong. Zhanshan's original body was instantly shackled by Su Fong's domineering aura. It became difficult for him to move. The 9 mirror images trembled violently as the space around them was controlled by Su Fong. It looked like they were about to dissipate. Just as Su Fong was about to attack, Zhanshan suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a crescent-shaped xianbao. A pure white xianguang enveloped him. Then a white light flashed. Zhanshan and the xianbao disappeared from Su Fong's shackles. Zhanshan's xianbao was indeed extraordinary. It could actually escape the shackles of my master's 10 erection seal. It was obvious that people had invested a lot in him. Su Fong, I'm no match for you. I admit defeat. Zhanshan escaped from the shackles and cupped his fists toward Su Fong. This person was very straightforward. He knew that he was no match for Su Fong, so he decisively chose to admit defeat. Hu Yufei's face darkened. Useless dog. Yes, young master Hu is right. Zhanshan silently returned to Hu Yufei's side. A hint of sadness flashed across his eyes. Such an exceptional prodigy was being ordered around like a slave. He naturally did not feel good. You want to break my legs just now? Su Fong looked at Hu Yufei. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. Hu Yufei laughed coldly. Not only did I want to break your legs, but I also want to take your head. However, I will leave your primordial spirit behind. I will let you see with your own eyes how I will ravage your Tao partner. Then you have given me enough reason to kill you. Su Fong's eyes burned with murderous intent. With a flap of his wings, he teleported to a distance of less than 300 meters away from Hu Yufei. Dong Xianjun, Feng Han, and Hu Yufei's subordinates all shone with divine light. Hu Yufei remained unmoved as the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer filled with disdain. An existence as lowly as an ant dares to vainly attempt to kill this young master? Kill him. Just as Su Fong was about to make a move, the Tao runes of the Jiushuan Tao Palace and the Tian Yin Xianjian runes suddenly surged out, warning Su Fong that a life and death crisis was approaching. Su Fong's heart skipped a beat. His wasp wings suddenly fluttered rapidly, and his figure flew into the sky. Chi! A shadow swept past the place where Su Fong had been, tearing his afterimage into pieces. Su Fong tore through the air several hundred kilometers away. He staggered and spat out a mouthful of blood. The shadow's attack was extremely strange. Although it didn't hit Su Fong and only shattered the afterimage he left behind, it caused his Tao heart to be pierced by something. In that instant, nearly 1/10 of his life force was drained. Fortunately, Su Fong possessed the Tao heart of the 7 luster Vajra. Otherwise, even if his Tao heart wasn't shattered, it would have been severely injured. He focused his gaze but couldn't see anything. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. Su Fong's heart was once again alarmed. Immediately afterward, a shadow flashed out of the void and swept past the shadow behind him. Su Fong's Tao heart was attacked again, and his vitality were drained once more. The Shadow Tribe. Su Fang's heart skipped a beat as he finally understood what kind of existence had attacked him. There was an extremely peculiar life form among the alien races. They lived in the shadows, and ordinary people couldn't see their existence. They were extremely mysterious and strange. Thus, the human cultivators called this race the Shadow Tribe. The Shadow Tribe's attack method was even more peculiar. They had the ability to devour the shadows of living beings, and by devouring the life energy contained in the shadows, they could attack the Tao heart of a cultivator and devour their life. The human race and the alien races had fought many wars. The human race experts had captured many members of the Shadow Tribe, subdued them, and trained them as assassins and guards. Currently, in the Jiuquan Divine Realm, the most powerful assassins and killers were the experts of the Shadow Tribe. He didn't expect Hu Yufei to have such a powerful expert of the Shadow Tribe by her side. Shadow, don't be in a hurry to kill him. Play with him slowly, Hu Yufei said with a smile. She looked at Su Fang like a cat playing with a mouse. Although her face was full of smiles, it was full of cruelty. You want to kill me, Su Fang? How can I let you do as you wish? Su Fang let out an indescribable snort of laughter, and then he activated a Xian Bao once more and pounced towards Hu Yufei. Hu Yufei laughed coldly with disdain. Dong Xinjun, Feng Han, and the other cultivators of the Feng clan and Hu people snorted disdainfully at Su Fang's actions. When he was around 200 away from Hu Yufei, Su Fang suddenly turned around. Su Fang's eyes flashed with an ethereal Xianguang, and he suddenly shouted furiously, "Get the fuck out here!" It turned out that he'd seemed to have targeted Hu Yufei, but he'd actually activated the life shrinking art in secret. Even though the Shadow Tribe was strange and couldn't see their tracks or sense their aura, they couldn't escape the detection of the life shrinking art. Su Fang sensed a faintly discernible aura that was silently drifting towards him. The primordial energy that had been accumulating and waiting since a long time ago shot out violently from the Tao Palace of the Jiuquan. Su Fang only had that single strand of primordial energy. It had increased after he'd advanced to the upper Tao Lord realm, but the increase was extremely limited. However, this single strand of primordial energy, combined with the ability of the life shrinking art to lock onto the aura of destiny, revealed shocking might. The primordial energy was like a sharp arrow that shot into the void, and it emitted a muffled sound. Subsequently, a cold snort sounded, and a blurry black figure flashed out from the void. Impossible. This young master's Shadow Tribe Guard's cultivation surpasses the Tao Profound Realm by 2 great steps. How could he have been discovered and even injured by that ant? Hu Yufei was extremely shocked and surprised. It wasn't just Hu Yufei, Dong Xinjun, Feng Han, and the others were extremely shocked as well. Only now did they realize how shockingly strong Su Fang, the #1 genius of the Eastern Profound Divine region, was. After Su Fang injured that Shadow Tribe expert, he didn't stop at all. With a wave of his right hand, the heaven-piercing Blood King vine flew out with a swoosh and pounced towards Hu Yufei. Hu Yufei instantly turned pale with fright, and panic appeared on her face for the first time. Swoosh! Zhan Shan made his move abruptly, a spatial force coiling around Hu Yufei and sending her flying to the side. However, it was still a little too slow. Hu Yufei's face was swept by the blood vine. Not only did it leave a scar on her face, there were also traces of blood that seeped into her skin and flesh. What a pity! Su Fang felt a pang of regret for not being able to kill Hu Yufei. Then, he flapped his wings again and teleported away from where he was. From where Su Fang had disappeared, a black silhouette appeared. Looking at Su Fang, who had escaped, it snorted coldly. Dongxuan's #1 genius is impressive indeed. To actually be able to discover this reputed one's tracks and even injure this reputed one, even taking the opportunity to injure young master. If this reputed one wasn't wary of Jiuquan's laws and purposely suppressing my cultivation base to the Tao Profound Realm, how could I have let you succeed? Then, The black silhouette flashed again and disappeared into the void once more. Su Fong secretly grabbed the talisman given by the wine sage and used the art of shrinking life to sense it again. He could no longer sense the silhouette's presence. Trash! All of you are a bunch of useless trash. Kill him for this young master. Hu Yufei roared angrily. His face was drenched in blood, and the blood that had pierced through the celestial Blood King vine had seeped into his flesh. The experts under his command could not expel it, and could only temporarily seal it, causing the wound on his face to be difficult to heal in a short period of time. It was a ghastly sight. Since young, when had he, the leader of the Hu people, suffered such a huge loss? A Hu people cultivator said softly, "Young master, that Su Fong is protected by the highest level of Jiushuan's laws. Those who have surpassed the Dao profound realm can only attack him by suppressing their cultivation base. However, with his ability, even a pinnacle expert of the upper Dao profound realm would find it difficult to kill him. A bunch of trash. When this young master returns to the Hu people, I will chase all of you to the world of the demon race to deal with the other races." Young master Hu scolded loudly. Under the protection of many cultivators, he quickly left the sky above the valley. Su Fong was also very wary of that Shadow Clan expert. He had clearly suppressed his strength. With such a powerful expert by Hu Yufei's side, it was impossible to kill Hu Yufei. He could only let him leave. Su Fong, that Feng clan has clearly surrendered to Hu Yufei. Moreover, that Feng Han and the Feng clan's old ancestor truly deserve to be killed. Why not take the opportunity to exterminate the Feng clan? Shu Chongxiao's voice was filled with murderous intent from Fu Yao's cave abode. Su Fong replied, "I heard from Feng Jinhua that the Feng clan's old ancestor suddenly left the Feng clan a few days ago. No one knows where he went. Before that, Hu Yufei came to the Feng clan. Dong Xianqin and Dong Xinchan went to the nearby mystic world to explore. They have not returned yet. For the time being, we can't make a move. For the time being, we will let the Feng clan exist for a while. Dong Xianqin, this guy, forgets himself when he has a woman. If he is caught by the Feng clan, it will be troublesome." Shu Chongxiao snorted. "They are disciples of the Heaven Pavilion. No matter how bold the Feng clan is, they won't dare to make a move on them." Su Fong returned to the palace where he lived. He sealed the palace and waited for the Feng clan's old ancestor to return. At that time, even if he did not exterminate the Feng clan, he would kill the Feng clan's old ancestor and Feng Han. Although the Feng clan had surrendered to Hu Yufei, they had yet to shed all pretense of cordiality with Su Fong. Just like before, everything seemed peaceful, as if nothing had happened. However, in this tranquility, a storm was brewing. "Feng Jinhua, why did you bring Su Fong and Goddess Luo to that valley?" Feng Jinhua had just returned to the palace where he lived when Feng Han sent him a thought. Feng Jinhua said calmly, "Uncle, what secrets do you have in that valley that you are so afraid of being discovered by Su Fong?" Feng Han shouted coldly, "Feng Jinhua, don't think that just because you have 10% of the 3 highest profound sex disciples, you dare to be impudent in front of me. I see that you are being controlled by Su Fong with the life-shrinking technique and are planning to betray the Feng clan. I am doing this to help the old ancestor and the upper echelons make a decision as soon as possible. I want to borrow that idiotic young master who to kill Su Fong. This way, I can escape the fate of being controlled by Su Fong, and the Feng clan will no longer have to worry about Su Fong." Chapter 2952. There's no harm in telling you the truth. That Su Fong already knows how the Feng clan treated Goddess Luo's mother and swore to annihilate our clan. You and Elder Ancestor are his must-kill targets. If you still don't make a decision, just wait to be annihilated by Su Fong. Humph. Although Elder Ancestor has left the Feng clan now, he can hide for a while, but can he hide forever? The only way is to kill Su Fong. Feng Jinhua continued, revealing a formidable aura that had never been seen before. Feng Han was so angry that his thoughts almost shattered. At the same time, he was wary of Feng Jinhua. He asked in a low voice, "What's your plan?" Half a month later, At the peak of the main peak where the Feng clan's power was concentrated, in the depths of the palace sealed by layers of powerful barriers, Hu Yufei, Dong Xianjun, and a few of the Feng clan's big shots gathered together. Feng Han and Feng Jinhua were among them. This young master swore to kill that Su Feng. Has the Feng clan thought of any way? Hu Yufei's face was still scarred, and her anger had yet to dissipate. She said hatefully, hedonistic sons all had a common problem. They were usually high and mighty, but when they suffered a slight setback, they would fly into a thunder of rage and seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Hu Yufei was naturally no exception. Dong Xianjun revealed a helpless expression and said, "That Su Feng is protected by Jiushuan's heavenly laws. How can it be so easy to kill him?" Hu Yufei naturally understood this point. Including Dao profound realm powerhouses, none were Su Feng's match. And powerhouses who surpassed Dao profound realm, once they attacked Su Feng, they would be punished by Jiushuan's heavenly laws. No matter how impressive Hu Yufei's identity was, she could not change Jiushuan's heavenly laws. Suddenly, Feng Han said faintly, "If Su Feng loses the protection of Jiushuan's heavenly laws, wouldn't it be easy to kill him?" Hu Yufei was taken aback and immediately snorted, "Nonsense! Do you have a way to make Su Feng not be protected by Jiushuan's laws?" Feng Han smiled confidently. "Don't worry, young Master Hu. Although I have no way to make Su Feng not be protected by Jiushuan's heavenly laws, but if I lead Su Feng to the chaos, that place will not be protected by Jiushuan's heavenly laws. Draw it into the chaos." Hu Yufei's eyes lit up. "It seems that your Feng clan has already thought of a way to lure Su Feng into the chaotic void." Feng Han nodded and said, "Su Feng is arrogant and conceited, throwing his weight around in my Feng clan. This time, because of young Master Hu, he will definitely harm my clan. How can my Feng clan sit and wait for death?" "But," Hu Yufei snorted and said, "if you have something to say, just say it. Su Feng is Dongshuan's top genius. Killing him is easy, but after killing him, how can Tiange let the Feng clan go? Therefore, the Feng clan is willing to pledge allegiance to young Master Hu. After killing Su Feng, bring the Feng clan to the central mystic divine region. The Feng clan is willing to serve young Master Hu." Feng Jinhua and the other Feng clan experts did not react to Feng Han's words. Obviously, they already knew about the Feng clan's decision. Dong Xianjun was shocked and surprised. He did not expect this. For the Feng clan to have such courage, they had already planned to move to the central mystic divine region after killing Su Feng. If they had the protection of the Hu people, not only would the Feng clan not be in danger of being exterminated, they would also be able to cling onto the big tree that was the Hu people. Hu Yufei nodded and said, "If we, the Hu people, can't even protect a mere Feng clan, then we don't deserve to be the top divine clan in Middle Mystic. As long as we can kill Su Feng, this young master." Suddenly, from the shadow behind Hu Yufei, the Shadow Clan expert's ethereal voice sounded, "Young master, this is no small matter. We must get the agreement of the clan's higher-ups." Hu Yufei snorted coldly. "This is just a small matter. This young master can make the decision. Why do I need to inform those old antiques in the clan? How dare a slave like you talk about this young master's matters?" The Shadow Clan expert fell silent. Hu Yufei continued, "This young master promises the Feng clan that as long as we can kill Su Feng, this young master will protect the Feng clan. Tell me, what method do you have to lure Su Feng into the chaos?" The Feng clan members were overjoyed. "Thank you, young Master Hu." Feng Han cupped his fists at Hu Yufei. Then, Feng Han said confidently, "Young Master, don't worry. Our clan still has some foundation after all. We've been prepared this time." The forefather left the Feng clan to prepare for this. Unknowingly, another 3 months had passed. Su Feng tried to sense the Feng clan's forefather from time to time, but he didn't see him return. Only then did he realize that the Feng clan's forefather must have slipped away. Dong Xianqin and Dong Xianchan also didn't return. This made Su Feng realize that something was wrong. Hence, Su Fang decided not to wait any longer. He joined forces with Gu Tianqi and the others to kill Feng Han and the other higher-ups. If Hu Yufei didn't know what was good for him and dared to interfere with the Feng clan's matters, he might as well kill him as well. Although that Shadow Clan expert was powerful, it wasn't as if Su Fang didn't possess a powerful trump card that could kill him. Suddenly, a gush of boundless space distortion divine power descended from the sky and shrouded the entire Feng clan's residence. Immediately after, the Feng clan's residence began to shake violently. Rumble. The earth and the mountains were shaking violently. What's happening? Su Fang turned pale with fright when he came out of the palace. He quickly flew out of the palace. He saw that in the sky above the Feng clan, there seemed to be an invisible hand stirring the void. A huge space black hole appeared there. It was a huge, profound gate. It was even bigger than the profound gates used to pass through the various profound worlds. He didn't expect the Feng clan to have such a shocking, profound gate. Outsiders had no way of knowing about it. Obviously, it was used to protect the Feng clan in times of crisis. Roar. Suddenly, an earth-shattering roar came from the bottom of the mountain. The black tortoise of the Feng clan actually moved. The black tortoise stretched out its huge head. Its four limbs kept moving as it flew towards the black hole in the sky. It seemed slow, but in fact its speed was unbelievably fast. The Feng clan is planning to escape from here. Su Fang immediately understood the Feng clan's intention. Waves of emotions surged in his heart. Feng Zhen flew across the sky and transmitted a message to Su Fang with his primordial spirit. Master, be careful. Feng Han has used his last trump card. He plans to move the black tortoise and the entire Feng clan through the profound gate into the chaotic void. Then, he will try to kill you. Feng clan, how dare you? Su Fang never thought that the Feng clan would be so bold as to use their last trump card to kill him. You want to kill me, Su Fang? Do you think it's as easy as the Feng clan thinks? Su Fang let out a snort. He grabbed Fu Yao's cave mansion with his right hand. After activating it, he entered the palace and completely activated it. The Kuan Peng formed by Fu Yao's abode let out a loud cry as it flapped its wings, creating a spatial storm. It tore apart the powerful barrier surrounding the black tortoise and leaped out from the back of the black tortoise. Just as he was about to escape, Feng Han's proud voice came from the back of the black tortoise. Su Fang, you're running away just like that? Don't you care about the lives of those two Heaven Pavilion disciples? Su Fang's heart trembled as he looked over. He saw a man and a woman shackled beside Feng Han. They were Dong Xinichin and Dong Xinchan. The two of them left the Feng clan and went to the mystic world not far from the Feng clan. They never thought that they would fall into the hands of the Feng clan. Su Fang thought for a moment and put away Fu Yao's cave mansion. He let Gu Tianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and Goddess Luo out. Then he said to Gu Tianqi and Shu Chongxiao, I'll leave my cultivation companion to you two. Quickly take her and leave. Gu Tianqi hurriedly asked, Then what are you going to do? Su Fang said with certainty, I'm going to save Dong Xinichin and Dong Xinchan. Gu Tianqi, Shu Chongxiao, and Goddess Luo's expressions changed. They stopped him at the same time. Absolutely not. Don't worry. The Feng clan can't do anything to me, Su Fang. And that young master who can't touch a single hair on my head. Su Fang revealed a domineering smile. His strong confidence flowed out spontaneously. Goddess, I won't let go of anyone who bullied your mother. Go to Wudao City and wait for me. I'll bring their heads back. Su Fang nodded at Goddess Luo. He activated his wasp wings, Xian Bao, and teleported out. He passed through the enchantment and landed on the back of the Xian tortoise. Su Fang has extraordinary strength. At the same time, he has great luck. This kind of danger can't threaten him. We'll just be a burden if we follow him. Let's go. Gu Tianqi made a decisive decision. He flipped his right hand and a rune appeared in his palm. Then he activated the rune. A powerful spatial distortion force burst out and enveloped him, Shu Chongxiao, and Goddess Luo. They disappeared from the sky without a trace. Rumble. The giant Xian tortoise carried the entire Feng clan into the Mystic Gate and disappeared into the depths of the black hole. The Mystic Gate also began to shrink rapidly and soon returned to its normal state. In the void where the Feng clan used to be, nothing could be seen except for some broken material fragments. Just like that, the entire Feng clan was moved away. Su Feng was on the back of the Xian tortoise. He was on guard against the Feng clan, especially the Shadow Clan expert beside Hu Yufei. He was also looking at the scene outside the Xian tortoise's enchantment. The Xian tortoise shuttled through time and space. The dazzling light outside kept flashing and time and space kept changing. Fortunately, the enchantment released by the Xian tortoise was strong and stable. Otherwise, the terrifying power produced by the change of time and space would have killed all the mortals of the Feng clan on the back of the Xian tortoise. No one knew how much time had passed. No one knew how much void had been shuttled through. The Xian tortoise's giant body seemed to have been thrown out by the endless light. The giant body suddenly shook and then stopped abruptly. On the back of the Xian tortoise, there was an earthquake. Countless mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. There were countless casualties among the Feng clan. However, most of them were mortals. The upper echelons of the Feng clan had obviously expected such an outcome. Even if all the mortals died, it wouldn't cause too much loss to the Feng clan. Su Feng discovered that he had arrived at the vast, boundless, and icy cold void of chaos. Above the back of the Xian tortoise, a giant black hole was slowly disappearing. The Xian tortoise had shuttled through the endless time and space to arrive here. In the distant void, there was a low-level universe. It was surrounded by enchantments and nebulas. The scene inside couldn't be seen clearly.